All right. Oh my God. Well, Jesus. Starting off with $100 dono from Ian. My God. All right. Hey guys. Taylor just spilled coffee on his laptop right before we started. So we're gonna give him a couple minutes to get his laptop cleaned up, and then he'll jump in. So welcome everybody. Thank you, Ian. Also, guys, we're gonna be heading over to Ian's stream once we're done here. We're gonna be rating his stream. So thank you very much to Ian, brother, for kicking this one off. It's time to party like Brigitte's micro Wang at her cousin's bar mitzvah. Okay, setting the tone right to start the live off. Yeah. So again, if you're just funneling in, Taylor will be on in a minute. He's still cleaning his coffee up. But we got a good one tonight. So what we're going to do, we are here to talk about the French Foreign Legion, the involvement, the assassination, potential attempt on Candace's life. And we have Taylor here to explain how all of this stuff actually works with the French Foreign Legion, which I'm super excited about. He's got about an hour with us. All right. Once he has to have his heart out, we will then switch over for the second part of the show and talk about the attack in Washington, D.C. I'm going to really explain to you guys who this guy is and where he came from and what he did with the United States, with the CIA, with Army Special Forces, because he's actually one of our guys, you could say. Army Special Forces or Green Berets, we would say one of our guys, one of the guys we work with directly. So that'll be the second half of the show, okay? So, yeah, once I see Taylor's back up, we'll get him in here. How's everybody doing? We'll let everybody, it's kind of all right because everybody gets a chance to funnel in. Wait, is Ricky in here? Somebody said Ricky. We got Ricky HD in here. Let me look. Oh, that's a Ricky. I don't think that's the Ricky. Okay. So stand by for a couple minutes, guys. We got actual whiskey tonight. Got some leftover from Thanksgiving. Not doing gas station booze tonight. So we'll be getting it going. How's the audio, everybody? Everything good? Good. All right. So first thing we're going to do, once Taylor's ready, we're going to have him do an intro and then give a little bit of his life story, or it's actually super crazy unique. I don't think I've ever seen another guy with a story quite as unique. And then he is going to basically lead us through how the French Foreign Legion works. So I'm stoked for this. All right, let's maybe start with a little poll before we get started. And what I want to start with is just what you guys think before Taylor gives us his breakdown of this. And if he thinks it's plausible, who thinks the assassination plot on Candace's life is plausible, which means not that you think it's for sure correct, but you think it is possibly true, or you just think it's a massive conspiracy. Okay. So plot on Candace, plausible or no? Yes or no? Let's see what the chat thinks before we deep dive into this and get a lot more information. It'd be interesting to see what you guys think. Because actually, there's actually been some people who I did not think would come out and support Candace and say this. This being the biggest one, the rarest W I think ever was, let me pull this up. Brandon Tatum coming out and saying he believes Candace Owens, and he's obviously been not agreeing with anything Candace has had to say for a while here. But let's see what he had to say.
The American government, I don't care how much you don't like Candace. I don't care how much you've been trashing the American government and the FBI. They got to do something. And I'm going to tell you what they will do. It doesn't matter right, wrong, or indifferent. They have to investigate this. They have to investigate this. And I think that if it is found to be true and the proof prevails, which I'm convinced after talking to Candace and the stuff that we talked about, I'm convinced, then that means that there should be dire consequences for the French government and whoever else was involved, the Macrons or whatever, dire consequences. I'm talking about the American government should go after them like never before. Then,
I mean, again, we're very, very critical of old Talmud Tatum on the show. Rare W. So if that dude believes it's true, I don't know. He's not the only one either. And for those of you who are just getting into the lobby, Taylor is with us. I promise. He spilled coffee on his laptop literally 1 minute before we launched it. So we're just giving him a minute to clean up before he jumps on. Okay. So stand by with us. He's in the lobby. We're just waiting for him to get back. All right. And not only that, but you also had Telegram CEO or owner, excuse me, Pavel Durov just linked France and Macron to the killing of Charlie Kirk. He says, and I quote, "After going through everything Charlie Kirk ever said about France and Macron, I actually think Candace's claim about France being involved in his death is entirely possible," which is okay. So you've actually had some pretty surprising people that I wouldn't have expected to come out and say this is potentially plausible. All right. It's like Taylor's about ready. I think he's texting me right now. Make sure I don't want to bring him up if he's not ready. All right. Let's see what this poll. All right. He's ready. Here we go. All right. We got him back. He's here.
What is up, y'all?
All right. Taylor, why don't you, we already got like 4,000 people in here to start the show. A lot of my viewers are going to know who you are, but I got a lot of new viewers or not. So what I want to do is just to start off, just a quick introduction, who you are, what you got going on. And then I want to jump into your story leading up from becoming a SEAL to getting into the French Foreign Legion, because I think it's going to be very important in understanding like where guys come from to come into the French Foreign Legion. So hit us with it.
Yeah, first off, Nate, dude, appreciate it. Thanks everybody for tuning in, dude. Valhalla TV, bro. Fucking great name, man. Tune up, man. So, yeah, my name's Taylor, and I was a Navy SEAL and then went into the French Foreign Legion. I got kicked out of the SEAL team for some bar fights and drew some heat, and Navy JAG piss tested me for steroids, and I fucking failed. So that's
steroids?
That was that.
I didn't know that.
Dude, that's how I got kicked out for PEDs, man. They list there like, oh, you pop for some stuff. Dude, that thing must have been flashing high score, dude.
Your 1,600 test levels were within the range.
Dude, I'm like, yeah, he must have got me on a low day. But so that was it, and so it took a couple years of civilian work. My life kind of fucked it up, just drugs and alcohol, just working, but just really things were falling apart pretty fast. And then I decided to go through another crucible and join the French Foreign Legion. And that was when I flew to France, and that was 2019. And when I went through the whole process, the pre-selection, selection, that whole deal, and then was at the Mountain Regiment, where I spent, it's like part of the 27th Mountain Infantry Brigade of France, but the French Foreign Legion contingent. Okay. And so that's where I spent the better part of 5 years. And so that's how I kind of, we're talking about the French Foreign Legion is popping up here. Kind of interesting stuff kind of dicing up here now, man. And I saw you were just giving the rundown, but kind of weird to see the macros kind of pop here. What's your kind of take on this, Nate?
So we talked a little bit about it offline. My thing initially was when I saw French Foreign Legion, because I have a little bit of understanding because I've done so much special operations content and researching different units around the world. And so, we're going to talk about the GIGN because that's specifically who Candace said is after her, which I think we both are like, does that make sense? But the French Foreign Legion, I heard that. The first thing I thought was, well, I got to get Taylor on because I don't know anybody else who'd be a better person for that. But I also just thought about it from the side of like, if they're pulling guys like you're talking about Navy SEALs who've had a little bit of problem with the law, who end up in the French Foreign Legion. These are like insanely like skilled and trained operators, potentially from around the world, that are coming to the French Foreign Legion. And like, to me, I'm like, hey, if I wanted to hire someone to carry out an assassination attempt, if I was in France, like that's where I'd look, is not necessarily the unit itself, but like someone that's worked in that unit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. And I think kind of interesting for guys to know is who joins it, right? And kind of
that's what I wanted to talk about first.
Characters. Yeah, so the cast of characters give you a couple case studies, right, of why guys would join. A guy from Belarus, dude was squared away, square job. He was a captain in their special force equivalent. I mean, I saw pictures and videos of him. I mean, they're jumping and doing shit. But he was a captain. He was an officer at one of their highest levels. Paid $900 a month, man. Right? $900 a month, and no external operations. It's something that in America we don't think about. Most countries aren't engaging in foreign conflicts. Sorry. Right. And so you think about guys, like Hungary, Romania, right? Belarus, that was a great example. Ukraine, right? They're not really doing external operations necessarily. And these guys who are meat eaters have that fire in them, are like, dude, I'm going to get paid double or triple and even more while deployed, and be able to at least have the chance of France is in Africa quite a bit, South America, and doing some stuff in Europe. So I mean, they were fighting in Afghanistan, they were in Iraq, so they've done a lot. And so you do have, I would say, 15% of guys are kind of at the higher level. I mean, the only other guy I knew who's like special operations from the United States, he was a MARSOC guy. Interesting story. Okay. I'll leave he was the only guy I knew. Dude, blasted head to toe tats, like solid sick tats. He got him in prison. And the story was, well, it wasn't even a fake story. He showed me some paperwork and the story, but he sold a guy a gun, a handgun in the United States. And normal, did the bill of sale and all the stuff, but the guy didn't have all his final paperwork. He was like, just take the gun and just send me the paperwork. Because the guy had driven down LA. He was one of the first classes to go through the MARSOC kind of program. And the dude committed a crime with it. Got arrested. The dude's name's on it. They come knocking on the gate at the amphibious base. Judge throws the book at him. He does 5 full years federal prison. So he obviously
Taylor, stand by. Hey, you're super choppy, man. Like your internet. Can you swap to? Yeah, it's like your internet's super choppy. It's hard for us to hear you. Could you swap to like a phone, even if it's not as good? That way, I think your Wi-Fi you got is not great.
Yeah, dude, I'm plugged in. I know. Yeah, hold on a sec.
We'll get it figured out, guys. I can probably share you a new link if you want to switch to the phone.
I gotcha.
We'll get it, guys. Someone said Dr. Wayne could fix it. Somebody said it's probably the coffee in your laptop.
Dude, seriously, bro. Hold on, dude. It's blocking me from my camera on this link. It sucks.
It's not terrible, but it's just choppy in and out, and we're missing some of the things you're saying.
Shit, dude. That sucks, man.
You should be able to hold on. Let me see if I can send you another link. Or if you open the link from your phone.
It's blocking me on the phone from my mic and camera. Hold on, let me try something else.
You might need to leave the lobby because it's probably the link you're using is a link for you. Let's try that. Let's see if we. All right. All right. We'll get it figured out. I want to make sure you guys we have a good signal and we can hear him because it's going to be very, very interesting. It's already interesting already talking about, again, MARSOC guys over there, criminals from prison, his background. So we'll try the phone first here. Let me also just send him a new link just to make sure. Copy. So bear with us for 1 second, guys. And we'll get it. All right. Stand by. Stand by, stand by. All right, chat. So a bunch of you saying you could hear him just fine, but then some people were saying you couldn't hear him. So what's the deal? I could hear him. His video was choppy, but his audio was fine. What you could hear him just fine? No. What's the consensus here? It was choppy. Was the video choppy or was the audio choppy? Definitely couldn't hear him. Okay. Dragon. Both was bad. All right. He can't get his phone to connect. So we're just going to have to deal with it. We're going to rock. We're going to rock on. Get him back in here. Maybe it'll work itself out.
Hey, bro, I'll talk slow.
Okay. Yeah, I could hear you fine, but like your video was a little choppy for me. Your audio was fine, but there's some people that said both were. So yeah just
dude. All these guys, yeah, might be. But so on this case studies, right? And then dude ends up doing 5 years in prison and gets out, was on probation, finishes his parole, top keys, last day of his parole in his apartment, locks it, flew to the French Foreign Legion where he did 9 years. So there's some skilled guys there, you know, in various group. What's interesting is Candace throwing out some specific information about Trez DBLE. Trez is 15 in March, right? 13th. That's some specific information that, unless she's kind of in the weeds, I don't know where she would have pulled that from. And so that's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the units once we get there, because I saw that too, and I was like, as far as I knew, it was 13th was a mechanized infantry unit. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Yeah, they're pretty much straight infantry.
Straight infantry?
For the most part. Yeah.
And so that was kind of weird to me, because I figured that's like not the higher tier unit you would think a guy that's going to pull off an assassination would come from. But like, could someone from the 13th potentially still be getting like sniper training or something like that?
Yes. So they do have some kind of their sharpshooters. It is, though. It's kind of the redheaded stepchild in regiment of the Foreign Legion a little bit. It's kind of where they put the guys who are maybe a little troublemaker, maybe didn't do the best in camp, but are tough, but they still want to do infantry, or it's kind of the backfill. You know, it's a rough regiment. They fucking run those guys hard and put them away wet, dude. For real. Yeah.
Yeah, I think your audio is doing better now. Seems like you're doing pretty well now. Just keep your pace where you're at, and I think we should be good. Yeah, so that was the first thing I talk about, is how guys get in. So like, could you potentially have guys from like you said, like Belarus and like some of these like Slavic countries where you're like, this guy's a little sketchy, not sure how he got here. Is there a lot of that? Like, where is it primarily French guys, or is it literally just all foreigners?
It's 1% French, all the rest foreigners. And even going in, if you are French, they're required to, on their fake identity they make them Canadian. They make them
Canadian?
Yeah, it's because they speak French, and so they have to have the nationality make sense, right? And so they all make Canadian. They're from fucking Quebec or whatever.
And they're actually French.
They're actually French.
So
they have a fake
I mean,
identity in their own country. It's very odd.
So this is why this is so compelling, is because of stuff like this. I mean, like, we're talking about guys who are given a fake identity to be a part of this unit, or reinventing an identity. I've heard is kind of normal too, right? Did you?
Yeah,
I've heard. I think I was watching your content, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you got like new IDs when you were there potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. They sent me Clayson was my name. They use your same initials and then roll your birth
with a
date
different name.
Totally different. And so I have a fucking ID. And I'll send it sometime to show you. It's a trip. Trent Clayson, born in New York City, and they move your birthday.
What?
Yeah. And so you can keep that identity and naturalize in France as that identity. That takes about 7 or 8 years. Takes about 7 or 8 years minimum. But most guys do what's called RSM, which is called regularization situation militaire. You regularize your military situation so you can actually get your passport back. Because when I joined, gave my passport, I didn't see that fucking passport again for 3 years. They hold on to it until
they took your passport.
Yep, day one. I didn't. So you can't technically leave the country. The only time I left the country during the time until I got my real name back a few years later was that's like routed additional paperwork, birth certificates and stuff, an additional background check. But I deployed with an official French passport, the red one, and Trent Clayson was on the fucking passport. What?
You had an official government passport with a fake identity on it.
100%. And that's why
it's wild, man.
In talking to lawyers, it's very odd. That's why the disciplinary hand Legion is very odd. They have their own little jails on the base where you're breaking big rocks into small rocks and running around the base pretty much. It's technically illegal in France, but you don't really have any legal protections. You're not a citizen. Right. You're kind of there. You have a bank account, but it's under a fake name. It's very and you have insurance, but it's a unique situation. And going off what you said, Nate, about pulling from that, it's a unique pull because you could put somebody in there that speaks English. You could send somebody that could blend into the situation or whatever in a easy way and not have the political backlash of it being like you had mentioned before of some French guy. Because it's an act of war, technically, right? I mean, it would really be an act of war. You're sending
100%
with a military personnel in the United States, man. Holy shit.
To assassinate a U.S. citizen.
That's pretty heavy, man, when you say it out loud.
But I mean, I didn't even touch the surface in my video about this. I knew about the reinventing identities. I had no idea that it was fake names on passports. You can completely become that new identity. That becomes incredibly compelling to the story of a potential assassin for Candace. Because like you said, there's so much plausible deniability for the French government or Macron to be like, if this guy, let's say this guy gets rolled up when he's trying to kill Candace, it's like this dude has a fake name with a fake ID that the French government can be like, we don't know who the fuck this guy is. This is some Belarusian man. Like
100%.
That's not ours.
Easy. Yeah, it's easy to keep that at arm's distance.
That is so wild. I wanted to ask you about the training you guys get. I imagine it's different based off the unit, but what does training look like? Is it let's say standard to like what we would do as SEALs or Green Berets, where you're going to get high level firearms training, sniping training, tradecraft, anything like that?
Tradecraft, no, probably not as much tradecraft, but I mean, you're going to go through all the basic infantry stuff. So really it's an infantry, highly trained infantry unit, right? It's not special forces, which is an important delineation. I would say their highest trained guys are probably more equivalent to Rangers, right?
So would you say you were probably already more trained than the training they're going to give you when you showed up as a SEAL?
Yeah, Yeah, like you showing up as a Green Beret, Nate, or something, you're going to have your weapons manipulate. Just how many rounds you put down range, right? It's at some point of just repetition. It's expensive to shoot that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what you could have, like you said, is, I mean, you could have like Spetsnaz, you could have like Russian Spetsnaz that could potentially show up, right? Like, I mean,
oh, and you do. Oh, you 100%.
And you do.
You
do. Okay, yeah. You do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're absolutely there, right? You have guys that were special police in Russia or Russia or wherever coming from, and they had done their special force equivalency, right? And so you can tell immediately they get on the range, their ability to manipulate the weapon, shoot, move, and communicate. It's obvious who's done stuff and who hasn't, right? Yeah. And so you absolutely have that. Now, you have sniper units that QCM Rep, the Parachute Regiment, some of the infantry units. Right? You're going to have sniper units that are going to be a combat company that are specialized in that. And so and then you also have the commando units, which are like GCP, for instance, is their highest level. Okay. Group Commando Parachutists. They're doing halos and shit, man. These guys are in it, and their selection is hard. Very challenging. I mean, I went into GCM selection, Group Commando Mountain, and I fucking failed the run. Fucking failed. Yeah, dude.
Wow.
And I was, I knew the time was just way too fast, man. I mean, I could just not make the time. And, but so they train hard. And interesting, their commando units, Group Commando Mountain, Group Commando Parachutists, that's actually French military, not the Foreign Legion. And so there's guys that go from the Foreign Legion and are actually operating side by side with just straight French special force units.
Wow. What?
Yeah.
And you can have like a
that next level.
And that's why this is so crazy to me, because if and we're dealing in hypotheticals, we're going under the hypothetical that this is true, what Candace is saying, right? We're not saying necessarily we know that this is real, but under the hypothetical, if you're Macron, I mean, you've got access to guys like you're talking about that are incredibly trained for exactly this type of thing, with all of the plausible deniability, fake IDs, fake identities, fake passports. This is it almost seems like the perfect place to grab someone from. Maybe not while they're in the unit, but if you were to, because you just, again, sorry, I'm kind of shocked about some of this stuff as I'm learning it, because it's so crazy to me, because we have nothing like this in the United States. If a guy was to, let's say, get up into the tier 1 units, like you said, from the French Foreign Legion, he's, let's say, Belarusian. After he gets out, is there like high side opportunities for him to get into like the CIA-esque world of the French government as well?
So this is an interesting part that I'm glad you brought up, Nate, is you can do a lateral. And I've known guys that have done this. They naturalize their citizens, then they lateral move into whatever pipeline they want in the French military. So there's Foreign Legionnaires that went all the way to their highest level units in special operations.
In the French government?
In the French military, as a Frenchman.
And okay, so now all of a sudden, though, because I completely discounted like the GIGN, now all of a sudden, though, is you could have a guy that's a French Foreign Legionnaire who's moved into one of those units that's doing executive protection for the president, that the president may say, hey, I've got a guy that I could potentially pay $1.5 million to go pull this off. I mean, just hypothetically.
Yeah. It's what's the more likely thing is like you had talked about, it's a guy who had been a Legionnaire. If this is something, right? It's a guy who had been a Legionnaire that they send in. And what's also unique to this is I kind of wrote it off when I initially heard it, but I don't underestimate when people are insulted. Because there's like with Candace saying about his wife and all this stuff. I never can't pull out what people are willing to do when they're like deeply insulted and mad.
Yeah,
they have.
Yeah, well,
and that's the one piece is kind of makes it like not crazy.
Well, I mean, yeah, and we're going to get into talking about that too. Oh, also, a lot of people are saying, "What's the GIGN?" We were supposed to talk about this first. I kind of screwed that up, Taylor. You want to explain? I'm going to pull up just a picture. As far as I understand it, they're essentially like a tier 1 unit that's used for domestic counterterrorism.
Yes.
Is if I don't know if you want to expand on that or kind of explain who these guys are for the chat.
They're national gender arms. So the gender arms are an interesting unit because it's like a militant police force.
Right.
It's I mean, I had two, not specifically GIGN, but gender arms with me in French Guiana when I deployed down in South America.
As a part when you were in the French Foreign Legion, you had GIGN guys with you.
Lived in the jungle with us Legionnaires because they have
wow.
Legal,
okay, I didn't know that. So now there's crossover.
They have different legal jurisdictions because we couldn't technically arrest certain people, French citizens in French Guiana, if they were French, because they could, right? We could wrap up Brazilians or wrap up foreigners, but we couldn't do it with, the French nationals. It's different searching procedures. So they actually deploy and do stuff. Now, small little thing, I'm not going to say what unit, but it's a very well-known, strong unit in the United States. And when I was over there, there was a guy training them, right? And what was over there. So just, I won't get into too specifics of that.
Training the GIGN guys? Wow.
Yeah. And because of anti-terrorist shit going on with the Olympics, right? Because the Olympics was over. So they're kind of preparing for that. They train at a very high level, the highest of levels. They have guys coming in from, they're flying to the United States training with tier 1 units.
Oh, wow. Well, that's
so they're pretty well trained. God. Yeah, they're pretty well trained. And you know what's interesting about this, though, is you got to have some pretty gnarly tradecraft doing this type of thing. If you're going to send somebody on a mission like this, I mean, you have many levels of having to get secret squirrel. And so somebody on that would probably have been pulled. And so I'm not sure how much GIGN's doing that type of stuff. Yeah. That would be, kind of whatever, but possibly overlapping pull training with some of their intelligence units or however that looks. I'm not sure what the intelligence arm is of France. Yeah. Their CIA equivalency or what they're doing, or if they have, a ground branch type equivalent or something, but I'm sure they do.
I wanted to pull up this. This was a story I thought was interesting. I don't know if he's actually a deserter or not, but there was a story about a former 2REP deserter who then all of a sudden magically turned up and was part of the Ukrainian special forces fighting in Ukraine. And the reason why I thought this was interesting is it kind of shows like how guys could just like be in the French Foreign Legion and then all of a sudden be in foreign countries doing different special operations level stuff. And nobody really knows how he got there or why he's there, to the point of like, well, if he ended up in Ukraine out of nowhere and part of the special forces, like how unrealistic is it for a guy like that to just disappear and end up in America doing something?
It's not crazy. It happens a lot more often than you think. When Ukraine kicked off, we lost Legion lost about 5% of guys.
Really? To the Ukraine special forces, probably?
Fight almost immediately. Some Ukrainian, but I know even some Americans, prior Marines that left to go fight and are there.
From the French Foreign Legion?
From my barracks room.
Wow. While you were in?
Oh, yeah. It kicked off when we were there, and it was, they pulled us aside and they talked to us, and they knew that there were some things even sent some of the Ukrainian guys there in buses. They said you can go 2 weeks, if whoever wants to fight, or get your family and come back. France allowed their families to come back if you're a Legionnaire.
Wow.
But some guys stayed. Some guys stayed. I know some guys that have been fighting there for a while, man, at their highest level. Yeah. Ukrainians.
So, I mean, you've got French Foreign Legion guys all over the place. Like, this is, I mean, I had no idea. Like, I thought I had a pretty good grasp of French Foreign Legion until you came on. That's why this is so interesting about.
And we talk about this, but man, Chinese, Mongolians, Thai, every country you can imagine, right? We're thinking white guys.
That's what I was going to ask.
Necessarily have to be a white guy, you know, and it's possibly probable that it's not, right? And there's a whole set of people that could be doing this type of thing because it's 150 nations are represented in the Foreign Legion. I think the only two countries they weren't allowing was like Cuba and North Korea.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you definitely have, and Candace said that there's an Israeli involved that's coordinated with the French Foreign Legion. So that's potentially possible. We're not saying it is possible, but you could have an Israeli who trained in the French Foreign Legion, reinvented an identity, and end up in America, like hypothetically.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a guy that is, this guy's older now, and he's on multiple different named mercenary groups, right? And he's Turkish, but Jewish. Spent 17 years in the Foreign Legion. Got it, and also Israeli Special Forces. And so there's some interesting case studies of guys that have, you know, gone through those ranks and gotten out and done some pretty interesting shit. Just because you're the web of connectivity you get is pretty unique.
Yeah.
Because you guys can call, and I mean, I'll give you an example. A buddy hit me up, kind of a known guy, hit me up, and he said, who's a certain now. But he said, hey, dude, we got a guy in Croatia who's got a weird vase that was actually like an old mortar. They couldn't ship it, but it was actually a vase. And so they were counting it as, and so he goes, it's at the hotel. Do we have anybody there? Literally, it was like 2 texts, man. And we had a guy in that city collecting this thing and mailing it off by a different way. It's fascinating how many people you can get a hold of just through web of connectivity from the Foreign Legion. You know, you're sitting in a room, 10 languages being spoken, which is, I mean, maybe the Olympics, something like that is about pretty much the only place you're going to run into that. And everyone kind of speaking that catch-all dog shit French that we all speak because we all suck at French, bro. It's brutal language. It's hard.
So I mean, there's possibility with that massive web of connection that it might not even have to be somebody that Macron pulls out of a unit. He can say, hey, I need you to find me a high-level prior FFL guy in America, and some texts get made.
Dude, I got the chills when you said that, man, because it's but it's not possible.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
And at that point, that's like you have somebody that's no longer, maybe you got a brand new identity they left France with from a different foreign country that's now potentially in America, that's who knows doing what, that through this web of interconnectivity you can get a hold of and be like, hey, we got a $1.5 million contract to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. My point is, it's not unrealistic.
No, it's not. And the whole not acting alone piece, right? Because it's a pretty deep operation. I mean, imagine getting after that. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, and a lot of layers of security and covered tracks, and you're going to have an intelligence arm associated with that in some way. Yep. I mean, it's pretty layered. It's pretty layered. And it's interesting how that leak, if it is something that's true, it's just weird to me how specific she was. That's what's strange to me. It's like when it's not something that a woman like that would have just stumbled wrong.
Candace would have no, and I know, and I'm not trying to talk trash about Candace, but I know her access to information. She would have no idea what any of these units are. She would not have been able to just organically make this up. to be like, oh
No.
yeah, it's the French Foreign Legion 13th Brigade. Like Candace is not connected to any of this like we are in the special operations.
You wouldn't
world.
even know what to Google.
Well, and
You
I know
wouldn't
that
even-
because I'm going to pull this up because I'm going to pull up her post, and I noticed this because I'm like, somebody missed, like people are missing this right away because she said, as we move down here, where is it? Okay, she says, further to this point, the person claims that the Charlie Kirk assassin trained with the French Legion 13th Brigade. So immediately I knew what she meant, which was the French Foreign Legion. But Candace didn't even know. You could tell Candace didn't even know this was the French Foreign Legion, but someone from the French government told her this unit. And so she said the French Legion. So it tells me someone from the French government did give her this information for sure.
100%. And whoever gave her that information also, that's very specific.
Very specific.
Even in the French government, in the military, people are aware what the Foreign Legion is, but that's very specific to get down to the regimental level. Like, not many people could name off regiments of the Foreign Legion.
It would be like for us as Green Berets, somebody would be like, yeah, there's somebody in 3rd Battalion from 1st Group that's doing this. Like the average person would be like, nobody would know what that means. And if you weren't like actually receiving that directly from that information. Because even I was like, I had to look up. I'm like, I know the French Foreign Legion. I knew of the 2REP, right? That was the one I'd heard the most about. But I was like, what's the 13th Brigade? Like I had to look that up and be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So Candace isn't organic. Like Candace, you could say what you want about her as a conspiracy or whatever, but she's not randomly figuring that detailed of the unit out on her own and just like fabricating this story out of thin air. There's no way.
Oh, she doesn't have time. She doesn't have time to create a story that detailed. And what do you think the next step is for something like this? I mean, how does this get cleared up?
I don't know because according, and I want to pull this up because she put this out afterwards or a day later because she hasn't done a show since this happened. And I can tell you, I think she should take it seriously. I mean, even if, regardless of the French Foreign Legion and all this is like super interesting stuff, we got to look at this and be like, Charlie Kirk was just fucking shot in the throat on live TV. Donald Trump was fucking shot last year. Like these political assassinations are a real threat. Candace Owens, it's very realistic someone could try to kill Candace Owens regardless of the situation we're in. And so the fact that she's basically gone dark and her show's completely off the air for now, she's not shut down, but she came out and said this. She said, our show will be off the air this week as an update. Both the White House and our counterterrorism agencies have confirmed receipt of what I reported publicly. Emmanuel Macron attempted to organize an assassination per a source close to the first couple. Again, I will state that the French Foreign Legionnaires, were involved with Charlie Kirk's assassination, but they did not act alone. For all those of you who doubted my claims, you can now look to the President of the United States and our intelligence communities to issue a statement to confirm that I'm telling the truth. I mean, that's pretty. And you got to keep in mind the amount of money Candace is making per episode. Her live streams are doing 150,000. We've got 10,000 people in here. That's crazy watching this. But Candace has got 15 times that. Candace is making $150,000 an episode. She's not about to just turn her stream off to be like, as this bluff to like, oh, I got to convince people like that's not a thing. Yeah. So it tells me she's taking this very, very seriously. And a lot of other people we talked about before you came on here, Brandon Tatum, who's been against everything Candace has had to say for the last year, has come out and been like, Candace showed me the information. It looks credible. We've had the Telegram CEO come out and say, hey, I looked into this. This looks credible. Like a lot of people are saying this is, it doesn't mean that it's for sure, but it's plausibly credible. Like there's plausible in what you've told us today. To me, it's just like it has made it so much more potentially credible. Like explaining the French Foreign Legion to us, I would have. Yeah. It immediately it sounded credible, and having you walk us through all this with different passports, they changed your name, gave you a fake passport, and I'm just like, holy shit, man! If I was,
dude, I don't know if people know this story, about the assassination attempt on the French president from the parachute regiment of the foreign in the 60s?
I have not heard that story. No.
So there was a premier rep, first parachute regiment, and after France pulled out of Algeria in the 60s, I think it was just like our Afghanistan withdrawal. There have been guys fighting there, foreign legionnaires especially, for years, lost a lot of boys. They liked fighting down there. And France pulled out, kind of messy, and there was a foreign legion contingent, almost like a group like dudes from that movie The Rock, right? Like the hardcores, and they attempted to kill the president. I'm not sure how far they got along with it.
The French foreign legionnaires did?
Yep. And I mean, this is well documented. This isn't like a conspiracy thing. This happened. It was such a thing. They almost disbanded the whole Foreign Legion because of it. They just decided to disband the parachute regiment. They still needed a parachute regiment, so they used to be on mainland France. They moved the parachute regiment out to Corsica on the island. So on the island of Corsica is still now today the second rep, and that's why they're out there.
Wow.
Not mainland France.
Because they didn't want them too close to be able to carry out an assassination attempt on their own president.
Or just kind of whatever, wanted to kind of have at least the parachute regiment, kind of they're more thumb and more isolated.
Dude, that is insane.
Yeah. It's kind of a wild story, dude.
What, just out of curiosity, what is the French Foreign Legion primarily up to now? I figured it was primarily stuff in Africa, given know France's influence in Africa. What were you guys doing? I mean, you were in recently, so you would know what those guys are up to or what you were doing. I don't know what you can say from that. I don't want to put you on the spot, but
no, dude. We're always an open book here, man. It's people that aren't aware. 26 countries in Africa speak French, and France is very gold, diamonds, cobalt, right? All this. Most of it is security for mining operations. It's used as a cover, but it's anti-terrorism, right? It's anti-terrorism, presence patrols, but it's really that they're not quite colonies right now, but France still, is down there. Mali was huge. They actually pulled out of Mali.
Extracting resources. Yeah.
Just slowly building schools, hearts and minds, that type of stuff. But still, you have your gangs and terrorist groups. They're really gangs, but they call them terrorist groups, and they're just fighting off of, sporadic gunfights and things like that. Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, some a little bit more south, but that's about the region. Djibouti, they used to have a regiment permanently in Djibouti. That's where 13th used to be permanently. And they actually removed that not too long ago. There used to be a full-time regiment in Djibouti. And they still do like a desert training thing down there. I think some Green Berets I had spoken to recently or had said they had trained down in Djibouti.
Probably,
with Foreign Legionnaires.
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff in Africa too.
Yeah, they said it was, a good time and kicking the nuts. But and South America, but even when Ukraine kicked off, they
South America.
Oh, dude, I spent 5 months down there in French Guiana. France has territory in between Brazil and Venezuela called Guiana Francais, and it used to be a French penal colony. And so that's all gold mining operations. It's like the Wild West down there. I mean, tons of illegal gold miners are blowing up gold mines. We would do 14-day patrols and hit gold mines, illegal gold mines, every fucking day on the way in. Every day. Yeah, dude. And you can't wrap anybody up, dude, because you're patrolling. What are you going to do with these people?
Right. So they're just mans.
You burn all this shit down, break it off, break them away, and then just keep going. Send everybody on their way. But you also have legal mining operations. And also in Europe, when Ukraine kicked off, they sent a unit up to meet with NATO, and it was with the Danish, UK, and the Estonians. So we were on the Russian border in Estonia for 5 months, kind of in like the late summer, early winter time in 2022. Presence patrols, nothing crazy, not like hot, but just, kind of cross training and doing stuff with the UK tanks. We'd roll out and do exercises with T-82 tanks, man. Like full 3 million in gas in a few days of, just diesel. Pretty incredibly powerful, patrols and just training operations
Just
with
right
the
on the
NATO
border.
units. Yeah, it was called the Enhanced Forward Presence Battle. Had one in Germany, Poland, and Estonia. They might still have them out there.
I'm sure they do, especially right now.
Yeah,
with what's going on.
And I had heard about Ukraine. I had heard about Ukraine, them sending a Foreign Legion unit into Ukraine. I'm not sure the validity of that. Yeah, so I had heard through the grapevine they were sending some guys or groups of guys in there. I'm not sure what they were doing, but also Romania. So they had some guys.
I wouldn't be shocked because we definitely didn't have 2 ODAs in Ukraine and Kiev the entire time. That we definitely did not have that type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Yeah, and it's the Foreign Legion does deploy pretty much all the time. They're always having guys, whether it was a hot deployment or not, right? They're still doing their security presence, kind of a
even
rotation
currently today.
Always, almost all the regiments are pretty active.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know you only got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's can you explain to us what happens when you're done? You're done, or for you, what happens when or these guys? Because I think this is where it kind of gets interesting. Is like, again, I think we both are kind of in agreement. Like, you're not asking the French Foreign Legion as a unit to go assassinate Candace Owens. That doesn't make any sense. You're pulling somebody that spent a lot of time in the French Foreign Legion, highly trained, potentially Belarusian or whatever, that maybe has worked at the high side intelligence level after. So what does it look like when you're done? You get your passport back, you got a new identity. You kind of talked about that, or the possibilities there.
So guys, you have some different options. Depends if you want to go back to your home country or you want to stay in Europe. A lot of guys who are like African or who don't have a strong passport want that French citizenship, right? I mean, you can't travel anywhere.
Yeah.
Because that's why they go there. If you're Ukrainian, or maybe that's not the best example now, but somewhere in Africa, you can't just travel to the States, without some crazy expensive visa or something. And so they want that French passport just to be able to travel and move around. And so they'll stay. Sense. That takes about 7 or 8 years. So you're going to have to sign an additional contract extension to get that naturalization time, right? You'll probably do about 8 years. Now, if you just want to get out after you're 5, you get a carte séjour, which is a residence card. You can work in Europe for 10 years because all countries in Europe have that agreement that they can kind of cross borders and work without too much issue. Yeah. The EU agreement, exactly. And so you can have that residence card and work in Europe for 10 years. And so guys, they do different things, man. It depends what level they were at. The commando guys, a lot of them will go contract. They won't command maybe the same amount of money as a Green Beret or somebody, right? Necessarily, right? It's going to be a different pay scale. But they had some of the contracting that I had heard of. They're paying legionnaires to be on their groups, and from whatever country they're from. And, they fill the gap because they speak French too. So if you're down in Africa, being able to speak French is super useful.
That's a very Green Beret-ish thing, right? It's like you want a guy that can integrate, speak the language. And if you've got these, especially Africans that came up, spent time in the French Foreign Legion, they can speak French, they go back to Africa. That's like perfect for that.
Yeah, huge. And some guys go into special police. So there's a special police unit. They actually asked me to do it when I was there. That is plain clothes. So they don't wear uniforms or anything. And a lot of them, they'll recruit from the Foreign Legion for guys who have prior experience also, who maybe are pretty good at English, and it's plain clothes in bars and dealing with clubs. And, they're kind of doing different shit, but I forget what that unit's called specifically. But yeah, so some guys will go do that because they just have, if that's the quality of life that they wanted, or they're not going home to something specific, they'll stay in France for sure.
Yeah, that was going to be my last thing I wanted to ask you about, was like follow-on opportunities. Can you go, I'm sure you can contract, right? Stay in France. Is there, and that's what I wanted to ask you about, sort of like moving up the ladder. Can you move up the ladder into sort of high-level French government type stuff? Like, and again, I'm not sure how it works in France, but sort of like CIA ground branch-esque type of advancement from the Foreign Legion once you're kind of done with your time?
If you started enough and you got enough experience in the Foreign Legion and got your naturalization, got out, you are a full-on French citizen. You have no holds to what you can do. There's guys that have gone up to their full-on parachute, tier 1-ish divisions that I've heard from the Foreign Legion, because they had enough years and they were still young enough by the time they got out to go screen for those units. And yes, 100%, man. I mean, you don't have nothing holding you back. So who knows some of the stories that I haven't even heard of where guys end up. And even guys who stay in the officer system, officer enlisted, like in the Foreign Legion, the officers are French. So they don't use foreigners, right? So they come from their West.
Really?
They come from their West Point equivalent. It's called St. Cyr. I might not be pronouncing that correctly. And it's kind of like a coveted position, right? Because you rule with an iron fist. It's very top down in the Foreign Legion. So, and it's also kind of sexy, right? It's like a feather in the cap. First TV station. And you're working with all foreigners. And so they're all French officers. Now, if you have some stellar guys, if they identify a kid who came in at 18, 19 from whatever country, and he's a physical stud, very good, picked up French easily, he makes it up to, I think it's Sergeant. He goes the NCO route. There's 2 routes in the Foreign Legion where you stay, non-commit, or you don't go non-commissioned and go non-commissioned. They offer them an officer. You can go screen and go through the officer protocols, and I've seen it. There was an African dude, I think he's from Chad, stud, chiseled from stone, man, and he was an officer, and he was from Africa.
Wow.
So
dude, it's just
guys,
so diverse, man. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah, like the most diverse, like worldly diverse thing out there in the world. I don't think there's anything more diverse than that. Like,
very unique, man. Fascinating kind of an idea, bringing something like that here. I always have said, dude, I even talked to some guys that are in Congress and different things. I'm like, dude, they need to do a Foreign Legion here, man. or convict Legion or something. Or it's just brutally hard selection and just see what happens.
Our closest thing is the Green Berets, right? Where you're training these dudes like me to speak a foreign language and go integrate with the populace and do this. But the problem for that is, like, when I show up in Thailand and I'm a 6'3" white dude with a beard and tattoos, they're like, the Chinese people there that are there to like observe me are like, there's the SF guy, it doesn't work that great,
dude.
Whereas in the French Foreign Legion, I mean, dude, if you've got a Belarusian guy, you can have him go work and do stuff in the Slavic areas. If you've got an African guy, he can go work in the African areas. The South American guy, like it's wild how the potential you have to like integrate into societies if you needed to.
Oh, dude, just the ability to have somebody on deck who's a native speaker everywhere you go.
Everywhere you go. Yep.
When we went, a lot of French don't speak English, even the officers. They speak, but it's not great. When we went and we attached to UK and we were working with, the Welsh tank divisions and whatever, dude, they're like, they're like, Cavanaugh, get up there and be somebody, dude, translate. And now I can speak English. They're always yelling at me for speaking English, but now they had a full on, and they got a trip out of it. The dudes from UK, when they saw me, and then me start speaking, they're like, what the fuck are you doing out here, mate?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Yeah, they were doing that trip, dude.
That's awesome. All right, man, we hit an hour. So what I want to do, guys, Taylor, I know you got a heart out. So what I want to do is, guys, pin comment. Taylor's YouTube channel is over there. We got almost 10,000 people in here. What I want you guys to do, go over there, support Taylor, subscribe to his channel. I'm going to pull his stuff up right now so we can actually look at it too.
All TV crew, bro. I get a lot of props, dude. I hear about this crew and this community, man. So you're doing something good here, and everybody is here viewing, dude. It's always cool to see, man, the strong support.
Yeah, we got a great community here, man. All right. So also, guys, Taylor, I actually watch your stuff all the time for motivation and gym
Thanks, man.
content. I'm not gonna lie. So Taylor
Thanks,
has
man.
guys, amazing motivational content, amazing fitness content. All right. So all of his stuff is in the description. Also, pin comment, get over there, subscribe, follow Taylor. I watch your stuff all the time, man. I love it. I should have reached
Dude, I
out to you
watch yours
earlier.
too, man. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
smoke a ball. I love it, dude. Oh, I like-minded individuals, man, and I know everybody here does. It's like so much bullshit out there, man. It's just nice to interact and speak with guys and comments and stuff that everybody's on the same fucking page.
Well, and you know, we should have connected earlier because I'm good friends with Brent. I'm good friends with Jimmy, and like that's like as soon as this popped
Jimmy
up,
loves you, bro.
I
Jimmy
immediately
loves you,
text
man.
Jimmy. I was like, "Oh shit, I need you to hook me up with Taylor, dude. I gotta get him." And he's like, "I got you, brother." So
Yeah, Jimmy loves you.
Thank you
Dude.
so much for coming on. I've been watching the chat. Everybody's been like, "Dude, this is super informative." If this pops off more and we get like some crazy more information on this, if you want to come back on, somebody just said this is one of your best guests you've ever had in the super chat. So
just so you know, man,
dude.
Nate, I put out some feelers in my homies that are still in.
Okay.
Trends specifically, and some of their their kind of assault groups there. And one of them's an American whose dad was actually a team guy, but he couldn't the color maroon, so he couldn't get into the United States. He couldn't do it here. He had some colorblind issues. But just to give you an example, but I got some photos put out, just asking some questions if guys are hearing stuff or kind of so they're tracking on kind of what's going on, so I could maybe get some more information.
Like, and then we had this too. It's like the only guest bigger, more jacked than tattooed than Nate.
Yeah,
which I'm all about.
Dude. So I'm blading off though, dude. I'm angling, dude. I'm angling in.
But yeah, guys, and Taylor, go to his website because you do fitness and you do fitness coaching as well, right?
Yeah, I do all one-on-one stuff, man. I don't do group stuff, and so I'll do Zooms and tailored programs. Everybody needs something different, bro. Just an outside perspective of some fitness and some sustainable plans.
Yeah, if you want to look like Taylor, go his website's in the description. So hit him up, guys. All right, brother, I'll let you go. I know you got a heart out, man. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been one of the very rarely. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I say thanks for powering through some of the technical issues, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, no, it got much, but the audio was good the whole way, so that was the most important part. And very rarely I have a guest on to where I'm just like, holy shit, this is blowing my mind right now with information. So yeah, man, thank you, brother, and I'll hit you up afterwards, man. And whatever you're up to after this.
Hold it down tonight, bro. Be safe. Yep. Have a good one.
All right, thanks, brother. See ya. All right, so I know we had some technical issues. We worked through it. Fucking, that was crazy. The amount we just learned about the French Foreign Legion, I had no idea. Like the fact they just reinvent your identity, give you fake passports, give you fake names. Wow. When it comes to, I hope Candace gets a chance to watch this episode so she can potentially see like, holy shit, that seems a lot more credible than we thought, or what I had any idea. Wild stuff. All right, so next, for those of you who want to stick around, thank you so much. We had almost 10,000 people in here for that. Let's jump into, guys. We're gonna second part of the show. We're gonna talk about the Washington D.C. shooting. Okay, and I want to kind of give you guys more of a breakdown on not necessarily who this guy is as a person, but where he comes from. Right. As what, because this is the type of guy I worked with in Afghanistan. The units that he came from, what he was doing with the CIA, what he was doing with Army Special Forces, and sort of the fallout of what's happening from this DC attack. There's a lot to talk about. I should probably hit super chats first because we didn't even stop. Excuse me. Because that was so interesting to me. But let's hit super chats. Sorry, guys. If you put these up early, sorry. I need some water. And then we'll jump into the second part of the show, and we're going to talk about this DC attack. And again, who this guy is. Because again, the mainstream media is not going to give you the truth about any of this. I'm already seeing it, right? When we talk about, this is This isn't a random refugee who snuck on. This is what you're being told by Fox News. This is some evil random refugee who snuck on a plane during the evacuation of Afghanistan, and he got into the country, and he's some terrorist that pulled off this attack. Okay. I'm not saying he's not a potential. He didn't do what he did. I'm saying that is not how he got into this country. That is not. That whole story is complete bullshit, and I'm going to destroy that in real time when we get to it, all right? But I don't want to fall too far behind, so let's hit the super chats first. Sorry, Taylor had a heart out, but we got him for an hour, so that was great. All right. Autumn says, appreciate the information. We need more. Yeah, we'll definitely try to have Taylor back on. Hopefully, I think he's traveling right now. We can get him back on when he has better Wi-Fi. Said, Yuval Hall of EFT, Ian, and Baron are my go-tos for truth and brains with the murder plot. Thank you, P. Bailey. And also, guys, we're sending the raid over to Ian as soon as we're done with this, because I don't know if he's gone live yet. Has he gone live yet? I know he was in here earlier. Tatum got some points for me on that one, but he's still negative. Yeah, that's for me too. I was like, rare fucking W from Tatum. Stood up and defended Candace Owens. We haven't seen that out of him recently. So props to Tatum for that. I'm going to give him, I always give credit where credit's due, even if everything else he's doing. Spent time in the submarine and met many special operators. Nate, please expose this shit. I'm high level in corporate America now, and everything's bullshit. Taylor, fuck with me, bro. Hell yeah, man. All right, Tom, thank you. Hey, brother, just tuned in. Let's fucking go. There's anyone on the teams that could protect her from these threats? You thought protection detail work? I've reached out to Candace, so if she's interested, she'll hit me up. We got this one from Ian earlier. All right. Hey, your video yesterday was super impactful for me, man. I was in the 19th doing EET missions out of Camp Span. Our Afghan allies were not perfect, but they deserve to be lumped in with one bad apple. And that is exactly what we are going to talk about as soon as we're done with these super chats. Specifically, John McAfee, Rip, trusted Taylor and Jimmy Watson, then so do I. Yep, that's absolutely true. There's video leaked on X and TikTok of a French whistleblower giving details of the plot to kill Candace. Holy shit. I have to look into that. Bro hits max every day. Dude, Taylor is jacked, bro. Jacked. I like to pretend that I'm jacked. He's no shit fucking goated jacked. So you got that. Oh, here's Ian again. Canadian citizens. Goose Bay flights. Yeah, that's crazy that they give them fake Canadian identities. Okay. Who'd have thought? AT Cav, sorry to sound like a gringo American. So if you get a French identity bank account, do you do a French W-2? Are you tax-free? We can ask him that, Joe. I'll send him the question for you, and then just remind me to give you the answer. I'll write it down. All right. When did ASVAB, what makes them or test allows to go to tier 1 level? ASVAB. So the ASVAB, like your GT score. So in Army Special Forces, we have, I think it's 107 or 109 intellect, requirement, right? You have to be pretty smart. But I don't know what it is for tier 1 level. It's probably about the same. It's not like crazy smart. It's like average intelligence, a little above. Curtis with the $50 dono. That shit ain't micro Ian. That's the joke about Brigitte Macron's, downstairs. Good joke. We're not going to get into it. I don't want to get banned. We got you though, Curtis. Thank you. Is this you, Bobby? Every time I see this one, I feel like it's you, but maybe it's not. I bet money that our 3-letter agencies are up to their neck with the Legion one way or another. Yeah, now that we learn more about that, I think it's probably highly probable. Happy holidays. Thank you. Thank you for Taylor, all this info. Yep. Super sticker. Thank you. Accidentally. Kids football update. They lost they lost to the number 1 team in state in the semifinals by 1 touchdown. And actually it was a missed. We had a chance to tie it up at the buzzer, and it was a missed pass in the end zone. So season's over, but they did pretty well. They made it to the semifinals in state. Now it's basketball. This makes Jason Bourne shit seem like friggin' Boy Scouts. I know, that's crazy, man. So much of that, I was legitimately shocked. I'm sure a lot of you were too, to learn about like the fake passports, the fake IDs, the fake names, all of that. Whew. Plus all tier 1 ops are classified. No way that's shared publicly. True. America First, FFS, for fuck's sake, Kelly. Yep, I agree. Wait, the French Foreign Legion is a real thing in modern times. Taylor was in the French Foreign Legion until like a year and a half ago, dude. Like he just got out and came back to the States, I believe, like 2 years ago. And they were actively deploying all over the world at that time. Probably doing way more than American soldiers are. crazy to learn. After Desert Storm, the FFL gave General Schwarzkopf a card that said, if you ever need us anywhere in the world, just call this number and we'll be there. And after what Taylor just explained to us, kind of feels that way. Ada Maybe with the giant $100 dono. Thank you so much for that generosity, brother. Before the thread on Candace's life, she shared the address of a fake French plane painting company in Delaware. It was where the planes went after Charlie's murder. It was used for people to change modes for transport, maybe something someone would kill over. I mean, who knows at this point? I would not have, when I first heard the French Foreign Legion was involved, what Candace says was involved with the assassination on Charlie Kirk's life, I was like, does that really make sense? I more have thought of like, hey, it makes more sense for the assassination plot on her life, given how much the Macrons hate her guts. And then after we just learned what we learned, it seems like it's some actual possibility in Charlie Kirk as well. So we'll have to learn more about that. Taylor's fucking solid, excellent guest. Yeah, hey, I'm sure Taylor will come back on. So that was like, we only had an hour to get into it. There was definitely way more we could have talked about. And then when Candace comes back, Candace is going to come back and she's going to have way more information to break down. And like Taylor said at the end there, he has reached out to a lot of his connections in the French Foreign Legion that are there right now to try to extract information potentially out of that. So we'll definitely look at having him back on. Nate, one of the best guests ever. Cass ever. Thank you, man. Yeah, Taylor's an awesome guest, dude. Awesome dude, too. His content's fantastic, by the way. I actually am a fan. I've been watching his stuff forever. Fitness content, his motivational content. Great dude. What is this? Jesus. Can't even read that, Seraph. Love your channel. Learned so much since I fan you. Laura, appreciate it. And we're about done with the super chats, and we're going to jump into the second part of the episode. Show us Ben Shapiro punching. You want to see the Ben Shapiro clip? I could probably pull that up once we get going. Love your channel, Battle. Snake Eaters for life. Hell yeah, brother. And Green Berets are snake eaters, by the way. Long story to that. The story behind that, I guess I could tell you real quick. And JFK, John F. Kennedy, Jr., president, comes to meet the Green Berets during the Vietnam War, or actually around, I think, 1963, 1964. And they're showing him all of our capabilities. And one of the Green Berets there is showing him jungle warfare techniques and survival, grabs a snake out of a box, holds it up, and basically shows JFK how to, turn it into food, like split it open and de-skin it. And he basically grabs a snake, grabs it by the head of the snake, puts it in his mouth, rips the snake off, rips the snake head off in his mouth, spits it out, and then flays the snake right in front of JFK. And then JFK, after that meeting, issued the Green Beret as a presidential headgear. It's the only presidential ordered headgear in the U.S. military. We're the only ones that once you have appointed us a Green Beret, because it is a presidential ordered headgear, you cannot take it away from us unless you have your tab and Green Beret revoked. But other than that, nobody else can tell us to take it off other than the president, which is kind of cool. Anyway, posted the screen recording of the leaked video on my YouTube account too. Okay. Great guest and show. Bro, hope you enjoyed Thanksgiving. French Foreign Legion has a 5-year enlistment. Yeah, that's what Granberry, that's what Taylor said. You got to do your minimum of 5. And I think he said if you had 8 years, it would naturalize you as a French citizen with a new identity, which is wild. Tulsi Gabbard about the CIA Epstein files and all the intel she has, sitting silent. Imagine what she knows. Yeah, Tulsi's been a big disappointment, man, unfortunately. And I was a huge Tulsi fan, but is what it is. It is Bobby Lynn. Okay, I thought so. All right, brother. Very good. All right, we got through it. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about not much. I think Taylor said the initial pay is like, what did he say, guys? $800 a month, $900 a month. I'm sure you live there, you get your food, you get everything. You're not allowed to leave. They take your passports. For those of you who aren't at the start of the episode with Taylor, 900. Yeah, it's not a lot, Yeah, so pretty wild stuff, man. Again, they take your passports for you. You can't leave. There's no quitting. You're just a part of it for 5 years. So that's pretty wild. All right. Let's actually let's take a 2-minute break, and then we are going to jump into the Washington, D.C. attacks. I'm going to explain exactly how all of these Afghan units work, working with Ground Branch, Army Special Forces, where this guy came from, how he got to America, and all of that. All right. So quick break, grab a drink, use the bathroom real quick, don't worry, we'll be back. Don't everybody evacuate the stream. It'll take me about a minute and a half to just piss real quick, refill my drink, and we'll get back to it. And we'll start the second part of the show. Stand by. Oh, don't watch this. Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. All right, we're back. We lost 500 people. I told you guys not to leave. Come on now. That's all right. That's all right. We're going to jump into the next part of the show. It's going to be good. All right, so first, I want to explain to you guys how the Afghan military system works. All of these different units, who this guy was, right? Because what you've seen, I'm sure you guys have seen that this guy was an Afghan who worked with the CIA, right? That's what you guys have seen. What does that actually mean? Well, it's important context to understand because of who he was with. The Kandahar Strike Force, you're going to hear the KSF, you're going to hear the KKA, you're going to hear a bunch of different, the KPF, right? The Coast Protection Force, all of these things kind of mean the same thing. It's one of the different units. We use a bunch of different special operation units that we founded and we set up and trained Afghans to be a part of. Okay. So I'll kind of like work from bottom to top and how this kind of works with the Afghan military. Okay. Or Afghan police force. All right. From the base level. Yeah, we'll get over. And also, don't worry, we'll send everybody over to Ian once we're done. We got about probably 30 minutes left. Yeah, Stacy, you did miss the best. Candy Taylor's a nice looking man. We can all appreciate that for sure. But anyway, all right, here's how from base level it works in the Afghan military. Okay, so you had your like super base level, which was the ANA and the ANP. Okay, the ANA was the Afghan National Army. The ANP was the Afghan National Police Force. These were essentially your base level, like very lowly trained, the Afghan army that we moved in and trained up to be a basic fighting force. Most of the time they weren't actually out fighting, they're guarding bases, different things like that. Okay, now anytime you may have heard about a blue on green attack, which basically means an Afghan national who ended up killing American soldiers, that is 99.999% of the time where that came from, was with these low level Afghan National Army, Afghan National Police forces. Because of that, very low. And when we talk about vetting is so important to this story, guys, and why it makes the story make no fucking sense and why the mainstream media is going to lie to you. But I'm here to tell you how all of this works and why you're being lied to about this. Okay. Because again, what you're being told is that this is some random Afghan who snuck on a plane and he got here and he wasn't supposed to be here and he's a terrorist and all these things. That is fucking bullshit. Okay, I'm not saying that he didn't carry this attack out. I'm saying that narrative and that story is fucking lies. Okay, and we'll get into what I mean as we go, as we move up these units. Okay, so these low-level trained units, low vetting, right? It was basically like, and as Green Berets, this was our war. This is what we did. We would go out. It was called VSO. All right, where we would actually go out to different rural areas. We would help build up a local police force, help build up a local army to fight against the Taliban. Very low vetting. The problem with that is a lot of the people that came in were literally the Taliban. And then you would have an insider attack and things like that. Okay, that's very, 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 very base level for the Afghan National Army. As you move up there, move up the chain here, you move up into things like the Candace, okay, or the SOCs, the Afghan Special Operation Candace. Okay, what these were was commandos. So you can kind of think of this as like Rangers, maybe from and again, not that they're anywhere nearly as trained as a U.S. Ranger, but just kind of like your high level, higher trained infantry Afghans who had a higher level of vetting. Okay, so I would work with these guys sometimes. And again, as we move up the tiers, each tier you go up to is more vetting by United States military, United States Special Forces, by the CIA. Okay, and that's kind of how it worked for Afghans, right? You would start in the ANA. If you got a higher level of training, you could move up to the Candos and the Candace. And then you would move up to a higher tier, which is the Afghan National or the Afghan Special Forces. They literally had, and these are strictly trained by Green Berets. We would actually train Afghans to become Afghan Green Berets. Okay, that's Afghan Special Forces. That's your next tier up. This is even higher level of vetting that goes into this. Okay, most of these guys have been fighting as part of the ANA or the Candace for years. Okay, so they've been fighting against the Taliban and Al Qaeda for years before they ever get the opportunity to even try out for something like this, because they're being vetted higher up they go. And by vetted, I mean you're making sure that these aren't insider threats. They're not Taliban pretending, because so typically they're not going to use the long game. Right, like the Taliban is not going to go through like 7 years of fighting the Taliban to like become an Afghan Special Forces. That way he can like shoot me in the back on target 7 years later and get one kill. Right. It's basically at this point you've sort of shown that you are loyal to the United States in a way as you get that high up. Now, as you get up even higher in that vetting process, the CIA becomes involved. Okay, now you're talking about who this gentleman was. He was part of the Kandahar Strike Force, the KKA, the KPF, whatever you want to call it. This is now an individual who has worked with the United States for probably close to a decade, fighting against the Taliban, Al Qaeda, ISIS, and is now actually in the Kandahar Strike Force, is working with CIA ground branch paramilitary. So he's an Afghan CIA paramilitary soldier. So he's doing all sorts of targeted raids, high profile attacks. Like we're talking about taking down, targets, like actual JPITL targets, which is a joint priority target list. What's that means is, we had a list of the 10, 20 most wanted Al Qaeda or Taliban leaders in the country. These guys are doing that type of high level nighttime raid with CIA ground branch. So this is like as high up the vetting chain you can possibly get for an Afghan soldier. That is who we're talking about here with this person. Okay. And the CIA director, acknowledged this. This is the type of person we're talking about. This is not some random Afghan who snuck on a plane. This is an Afghan who most likely spent over a decade fighting alongside Army Special Forces, guys like me, and working with CIA ground branch paramilitary. So does it make sense for him to be some Islamic terrorist who played this weird 7D chess 15-year long game to finally make it to the United States to then like shoot 2 National Guard soldiers randomly in the street? Maybe. And we'll talk about the possibilities of this. But at the same time here, as you can see, It says CIA Director Radcliffe confirms the Afghan terrorist, and they, of course, they're going to list it this way, the terrorist, who shot National Guardsmen, previously worked with the CIA as partner of the Kandahar, of a partner force, Kandahar, Afghanistan. As you can see, Kandahar Strike Force. He's got an actual DOD, Department of Defense, CAT card. Like, the guys I worked with didn't have DOD CAT cards. This is how up we're going. How high up we are going into the levels of how vetted this guy is. And I want you guys to understand, this demographic is one of it is the most vetted of all Afghans. Like, we're talking about like the most trusted it gets of all the Afghans that we worked with. Right? So now I want you guys to understand, when Afghanistan fell, when we, and trust me, and if you've watched my older content, I don't want to get too far into it, but with the Afghan withdrawal, is my unit was supposed to facilitate the withdrawal. We did a 7-8 month train up. We were about to deploy to Afghanistan. We were so close. We were on, for those of you in the military, we were on 30-day pre-deployment leave, beards grown out as Green Berets. Our equipment, no shit, our Connexes, our ODA's Connexes of equipment were shipped and were in Afghanistan. That's how close we were to getting on planes to deploying and facilitating the withdrawal in 2021, when out of nowhere, we still don't know why, and this was 22 ODAs, Special Forces teams, we were supposed to deploy to Bagram and facilitate the withdrawal. We were called off. We were canceled out of nowhere. Nobody knew why. And then we saw a month later what happened. Bagram fell, everything that happened following that. Okay. So I'm very privy to the information, a part of what was supposed to happen with the withdrawal. Okay. So when the withdrawal happens and all this chaos happens, understand the Kandahar Strike Force guys, the CIA assets, these are the first guys that are all removed, because they are the Taliban's most fucking wanted. I want you guys to understand. The Taliban, basically all of these KSF or KKA guys, them and all of their families are on an immediate kill list by the Taliban because of all the work they've done with the United States. So if you think, when we talk about, hundreds of thousands of Afghans made it out, yeah, they did. But this individual is not one of these random Afghans. He was, as well as, there's about 500 to 700 of these guys that work with the CIA. Very tiny number. Okay. This isn't tens of thousands of potential Afghans. Okay. 500 to 700 of these guys. They were all evacuated from Afghanistan, and they were basically went into exile into 3 countries. Okay. So they basically went to either the UAE, Europe, and then some of them went to the United States. Tiny fraction of all the people that were evacuated out of Afghanistan is this guy's demographic. But he was definitely immediately removed, most likely with his family, because of his work with the CIA and him being on a most wanted list for the Taliban. And I can tell you, guys I worked with, my interpreters were also, some of them got out. And I can tell you, one of my interpreters got out and his entire family was slaughtered afterwards because they were not able to leave Afghanistan. All right. So this is a real thing. So these were the highest priority. And again, I'm tying all this together here. This guy was part of the highest priority demographic to get out of Afghanistan when Afghanistan fell, when the withdrawal happened. So when you're told by the government that this is some evil terrorist who had no business being in the country, I want you to understand he was brought here by the CIA and he was nationalized by Donald Trump in 2025, by the way. Okay. This wasn't some random guy who stayed past his visa. All of that's bullshit. That's all lies. That's all media lies. So why is this important to all understand? Is that when we talk about, does the story make sense? When I just explained to you, and again, not specifically him, but who these 500 guys were that worked with us, keep in mind, night in, night out, fighting against the Taliban, risking their lives, getting killed next to guys like me. And he randomly, after 10 plus years, fighting alongside the United States, risking his life, being Taliban's most wanted, having to evacuate himself and his family out because they're going to get slaughtered, makes it to the United States, and then decides to wait 4 years, drive across the country, and randomly shoot 2 National Guard soldiers in the street. I just want to ask the chat, now that I've given you the full workup of who this guy is, where he came from, does that story, does the mainstream media story make sense now? And I hopefully I explained that well enough, because, you know, you're not all Green Berets, you didn't all go do the job. But does that make sense for this guy to do that? I'm not saying that it's not possibility that he snapped, right, through PTSD or all these different things. I'm not saying that. I'm saying is the narrative of, if this was some ISIS insurgent that snuck across on a plane, right, or snuck through the southern border and carried this attack out, you'd be like, okay, maybe there's some potential here. This is a dude that risked his life for U.S. soldiers like me for over a decade. And then he randomly kills 2 National Guard soldiers in the street. I talked to one of my buddies from First Group last night, and I asked him, I said, have you ever heard of a story of an Afghan National Special Forces, which, like I said, you have the Afghan National Special Forces and the KKA, KSF. These are like the most vetted guys that spent a decade fighting alongside us. I asked him, I said, have you ever heard of a story of an Afghan National Special Forces guy committing a blue on green, which is shooting an American Green Beret in the back? All the guys I've talked to said, never. It's never happened. It's always the ANA, the ANP, these low level, you know, Afghans that were basically Taliban. Never. None of us have ever heard of it. And so it doesn't, to me, and hopefully I explained that well enough, that it doesn't make sense for this to happen. And then when we start to add in what's going on, okay, the timing of it. And again, I'm trying to give you guys a holistic, I'm trying to give you, like, import my brain into you guys. Okay. And it's not just that his individual story by itself makes no sense for this attack to happen. Now we have to add in what's been going on for the last month in the United States. We've all seen it. No, I'm not saying it's impossible. Okay, I'm not saying it's possible. I want to be upfront. Is it possible that this guy decides after 10, 15 years that he finally has a psychotic break because of all the PTSD and all the crazy shit that he did, that he had enough and he's going to take it out on American soldiers? Sure. Anything is possible, but does it make sense? Is it plausible? Is it likely? No. It's not likely, and it doesn't make sense. It's possible, but it's not that plausible. Okay. Now, we haven't even factored into what's been going on around the country over the last 2 months. Those of you who have been paying attention or watching my channel have seen me talk about this for weeks. And I have told you, I do not want National Guard soldiers deployed onto the streets because they're going to get fucking shot and killed for no reason. And it happened. I have told you, ever since Zoran and the mayor election, I told you an Islamic terrorist attack is coming. I've said that over and over and over again. Those of you who watch the channel have heard me say that over and over and over again. And so all of a sudden, when following Zoran Mamdani, a Muslim jihadist communist, wins in New York, we showed the clip of my buddy Aaron Love, who we had on the channel, say, the other day. He even said, wow, the next false flag's really going to hit different. Okay. And then we saw what happened in Dearborn, Michigan. Jake Lang, fake Christian Jewish agitator, goes down there and creates this massive scene to show how evil Dearborn is and Sharia law is taking over and all this crazy shit, right? And I'm watching it going, wow, this is interesting timing for this. And then, what happens? Oh, an Afghan national terrorist shoots 2 National Guard soldiers right down the street from the White House. Interesting place to do it. When we also then factor in the fact that we all know that our greatest ally, the support for our greatest ally, has evaporated. We've listened to Benjamin Netanyahu in the Knesset the last 3 weeks say, the only way we're going to garner back American support is through Islamophobia. He said that in the fucking Knesset 3 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, Dearborn protests. All of a sudden, terrorist attack. Okay, maybe these things are all coincidences. All of these things are coincidences. Maybe. Or maybe we're looking at distractions. Because what else is going on right now? The Epstein files. Oh, we all forgot about the Epstein files. And if you haven't heard, the FBI has already announced that they're redacting 300 gigabytes worth of information out of the Epstein files. They said it up front. 300 gigabytes of information of the Epstein files will be redacted. They just put that out the day after the shooting took place. So, again, coincidences. But I told you guys like 2 weeks ago, I said, talking about the Epstein files, I said, one of two things is going to happen. There will be a false flag or we will invade a sovereign country to distract from the Epstein files. I've said it multiple times. And so again, maybe this is all coincidence, but what else is happening? And you have to watch, what I want you guys to watch for is the fallout. I want to pull some of this stuff up. The fallout. It's not so much that there was an attack. It is what's the response to the attack? Because when you look at the responses to the attack, it starts to make a lot more sense, which is, here's another one. Let's look at some responses to the attack. Here's
Trump.
one.
The breaking news here tonight is saying that his government is going to accelerate efforts to review every person added to this country over the last 20 years, or the last 4 years, all 20 million. Now, obviously, if you're illegal, you're out automatically. But everybody else who is brought here, refugee, asylum status, whatever status, as he said, if you're not someone who loves this country, if you're not any benefit to this country, then we're going to send you out of this country because it's enough already. No one else has to die. No one else has to be murdered. No one else has to be shot. No more empty seats are needed at the Thanksgiving table or the Christmas table because of what Democrats have done to this country.
Oh, Democrats have done to this country. You see the emotion? You see the emotional blackmail immediately? We got to get rid of fucking everybody. And I'm you know me, I'm actually someone who wants the illegals deported. You guys know that. I'm pretty far right on immigration. Okay. However, when I look at this, I go, why weren't you doing any of this before this? And when he's talking about there, any refugee is now going to be looked at to be deported. So now we're talking about all of the actual Afghan interpreters, all of the Afghan special forces, their families. Oh, we got to get them the fuck out. Let me explain this to you guys. I want to remind America of something because America seems to have fucking forgot. And it's mainly Republicans right now. And it's Donald Trump. And I've told you guys before, the reason why I'm passionate about this is because these are people I went to war with. These are people that I went to combat with. These are people that were literally had a guy shot standing next to me in a near ambush, Afghan who took a round I didn't take. These are guys who walked in front of me to get their legs blown off before me. So I am passionate about this. I'm not saying that it's not a problem that we let in 150,000 Afghans. We should not have fucking done that. So let me start at the beginning and just remind everyone. I will say this. Whose fault is this? The immigration problem? Joe Biden. Okay, you might not like hearing that. That's the truth. The withdrawal absolute catastrophic fuck up, and it's all Joe Biden's fault. I know that because I was part of what was supposed to happen. Okay, I'm not blaming this on Trump at all. What we did was we just basically let in 150,000 people without vetting a lot of them. However, we have to go back to the start. Okay, here's the reality. After 9/11, which I can't say 9/11 on a stream apparently because they'll immediately flag my stuff, so I shouldn't have said that. I want to remind America, Afghanistan did not ask us for help. Afghanistan did not ask us to come liberate them. Afghanistan did not ask us to come free them. After what I just talked about, we invaded Afghanistan to get accountability for OBL and Al-Qaeda. And what we had happen was we had tens of thousands of Afghan nationals rise up and offer to work with us, to help us carry out that accountability for OBL. Okay? And over 20 years of being there, some of these people from day one helped us, fought alongside us, risked their lives for 2 decades. Because we wanted accountability, not because they asked us to come there. Right? And we seem to have forgot that. And you know what happened after 20 years of them fighting the Taliban, fighting Al-Qaeda, fighting ISIS, fighting alongside us, is they all became public enemy number 1 to the Taliban, to Al-Qaeda, although we did get rid of Al-Qaeda. So they counted on us as America because we promised them, we promised Afghanistan, just like we promised Iraq, that we were in it for the long haul. And that if you supported us, if you stood up, if you rose up and helped us fight the Taliban, we would be there for you. We would defend you. We would protect you. And do you know what we did in 2021? We said, thanks for the help. Go fuck yourself. We're out. That's what really happened in Afghanistan. Okay? And so when we decided to leave, and I'll pull you up even people like Lindsey Graham, who was standing before Congress saying we have to support these Afghans that fought alongside us, that risked their lives for us for 20 years to assist us, America. Stand by, I'll pull it up here in a second. When we did that, we decided to leave. We made that decision. We had that responsibility. You might not agree with it. America might not agree with it. We made that promise. And I'll tell you as a Green Beret why this matters here in a second. We made that promise that we will protect you, which means you're going to be slaughtered. Your families are going to be slaughtered. So we will bring you to Europe as refugees, America as refugees, UAE as refugees, because we made you that promise. Most of them didn't get out. Like I said, one of the interpreters I work with, night in, night out, his whole family was slaughtered because we couldn't get him out. And why this is such a big deal, and we did it to the Iraqis, we did it to the Syrians, we did it to the Afghanis, we did it to the Kurds, is America comes in and we make the promises that if you assist us, if you fight alongside us, we'll stick with you to the end. We did it to Vietnam. We did it to the Vietnamese. We did it to the mutton yards. We promised the same thing. And you know what we did? We bailed. And 1 million people got slaughtered by the Viet Cong after that. We've done it over and over. And the reason why this is such a problem is that for Green Berets, my job is to work with indigenous forces, wherever they may be. And the reason why this is so fucked up for America is going forward in the future is it has dissolved all the potential trust that we can have with a foreign country. So the next time that we need to go into Venezuela, we need to go into Iran, and we promise the people, we will stick by you as long as you rise up to overthrow Maduro. All you have to do is rise up and America will be alongside you the whole way. What do you think those people are going to say? They're going to say, fuck you, dude. We watched what you did to Afghanistan. We watched what you did to Iraq. We watched what you did to Libya and Syria and Vietnam. We can't trust you. We're not going to support you. We're going to fight against you. That is what the fallout of these disastrous foreign policy decisions are. That's the truth. And so when I talk about, when I see Americans and Donald Trump, immediate response is deport all of these Afghans. Okay. You can do that. But did Donald Trump fight alongside me in Afghanistan? No. Did Stephen Miller fight alongside me in Afghanistan? No. So you made a lot of fucking promises and you didn't keep any of them. And now what we're saying is, even though we fucked you over, the least we could do was at least get your family and you out so you didn't get slaughtered. And now we're saying, actually, hey, it's been 3 years. Sorry, dog. Like, there was a terrorist attack. So you guys are all fucking gone. Good luck. Get them back over there. I don't know, guys. You think about it as what is America supposed to be? Is that what it means to be America? Is that when we invade sovereign countries and convince the people to assist us, we fuck them over every time? I don't know, man. It's not what I'm about. And so what they want you to believe, and I get it, this is always the play. Here, and I'm going to pull this up. Here, I found the Lindsey Graham clip. This was Lindsey Graham. This is the biggest goddamn war hawk there is. And look what he had to say in 2021 during the withdrawal. So don't let any of these fucking MAGA or Trump convince you, oh, this is all Biden's fault. Listen.
We're going to get this done. This is the right thing to do. There's no other ending that is acceptable to me. The people who were there with us in the fight that are here in America need to stay. This will be their new home. So we have a moral obligation to these people. They will make great citizens over time. We're going to get this done. This is the right thing to do.
That's Lindsey Graham. And he's right. He was actually right there, just shockingly. So everybody was saying this. I had tons of buddies who were trying to get out. Our interpreters, our partner forces, their families. And all of that has just evaporated overnight because of a terrorist attack in Washington, D.C. Do you see what's going on? Do you see the distraction? Does it start to make a little bit of a sense here? I hope it does. Because, again, if you turn on Fox News or you turn on the Daily Wire, all you're going to see is we got to send the National Guard into Dearborn. We got to send the National Guard into Texas. We got to deport all the Muslims. Get rid of them. Get rid of all the Muslims. And I've said it before. I do not think Islam is, particularly compatible with the West. Amazingly because, or America, because again, I just think I'm an American culture guy. I want you to assimilate to our culture. And if you do here, and most Muslims do, by the way, I have a lot of Muslims friends, guys I serve with. If you do, that's great. If you don't, then you shouldn't be here. But for us to now, and this is the exact same thing that happened after what happened in New York in 2001, is you're going to be told you need to hate Muslims. If you're a Christian, you need to hate Muslims. You need to hate all the Afghans here. You need to hate everybody here. This is the biggest threat in the world. I hope those of you in my channel that watch my channel know better than this. This is no different than the left-right divide, than the white versus black divide. Have you noticed how whatever happened to BLM and You know, the white versus black anger and riots just gone now. Everybody's fine. Right? You see how they do this? It's constantly drumming up. We got to pit the American people against each other. Democrats versus Republicans, Christians versus Muslims, black versus white. This is just on repeat. This is exactly what they're doing to us because they want to keep us distracted from the fact that the elite apparatus, the oligarchs, the you-know-who are raping our fucking country and destroying the American people. So you got to ask yourself, is Islam the reason why the economy's in the shitter? Are Muslims the reason why the labor market is the worst it's been in 20 years? Are black people the reason why you can't afford your rent? Really? That's what Fox News will tell you. But you can't fool me. And I hope you can't fool our audience. You know? And so much bizarre stuff, guys. I'm going to show you some things. This was tragically one of the 2 National Guard soldiers that lost her life. These Google search trends tell us a lot. Why was her name, Sarah Beckstrom, being searched in Israel the day before the attack? Why was, and it's not just her. You can pull up the other ones. Stand by. I got it here somewhere. Did I not pull it up? Anyway, I showed it in the video. Also, the attacker. Why was, it's hard to say, Ramnullah Lakanwal, why was his name being searched in Washington, D.C. hours before the attack? 36 people in Washington, D.C. looked up the attacker's name early in the morning before the attack. Like, why are these things happening? I don't know. Maybe it's all coincidence. It's all random. We're not supposed to pay attention to this. Why is, like, here's Dearborn. You remember this guy? The guy who, the Christian who's saving the world?
Kicking me out. I am Jewish. If you say anything negative about Israel, I am Jewish. My sister served in the IDF. I was bar mitzvahed on the Wailing Wall in Israel. I am a Jew. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. But I am a Jew, and I love Israel.
Okay. Remember him? That was like 3 days before this attack carried out, as they're in Dearborn talking about how, Islam is the problem. You got this, here he is. Kenny KO showed this. Again, guys, this is like, when you start looking at all this stuff holistically, it starts to become pretty obvious of what's going on.
That I grew up in, white Christian country.
There he is.
Our founding fathers' blood soaks this land, not for Muslims and Islamic jihadists to play their prayer calls where our children walk to preschool.
I'm sorry, I just had to make another reminder for you guys. In case you weren't aware, the man that is holding the giant cross trying to support Christianity, his name is Jake Lang. Now, the most interesting trait about Jake is he is able to blend in seamlessly with wherever he is. Because for some reason, he tries to hide and remove every single trace he has had. For instance, kissing the wall in Israel. As a reminder for you guys, bragging about his sister serving in the IDF. Jake Lang is Jewish. He is not Christian, who is trying to cause conflict between Christians and Muslims while he is Jewish. Do you see what is going on?
But we're waking up, guys. The world is waking up. And I'm not saying that there's not Islamic extremism around the world. There is. They're all around the world. You have Christians killing Muslims, killing Jews. You have Jews killing Muslims and Christians in Gaza. You have Muslims killing Christians in the northern Horn of Africa, in Nigeria. You have Chinese killing Muslims. Everywhere we look, right? Algeria. Look at Armenia, right? You had Muslims killing Christians in Armenia. It's like, it's everywhere, okay? All around the world, there is this type of stuff going on. And it's been going on for 2,000 years. But when you see things like this in America, you have to ask yourself, why is there a Jewish guy pretending to be a Christian, going to Dearborn, lighting Qurans on fire to incite violence between Muslims and Christians 3 days before there's a terrorist attack in front of the White House. Does that like all seem organic to you? This is what I mean. Does it seem organic? Because to me, none of this seems organic. Because I'll tell you this, we have such a short memory. We have short-term memory in the United States. Before Zohran Mamdani started running for mayor, when was the last time you heard anybody talk about Islam since 2021? Anywhere in the media? You know what it was? It was trans-Tifa. It was trans furries. Remember, we got to go back 2 months because we forget it was left versus right. It was, the trans Tifa. Even the Charlie Kirk assassination. What's the very first thing they said? Trans furry. Donald Trump assassin. Trans furry. Right? Nobody talked about Islam for the last 4 years up until Benjamin Netanyahu said in the Knesset, hey, it's time to drum up Islamophobia again. And Fox News, Daily Wire. I just want you guys to pay attention. That's all. I'm not telling you what to think, but I'm telling you, please pay attention to these things because it becomes super obvious. It becomes super obvious what's going on. And when we're talking about religions, okay, the reality is, you want me to hate Islam? I know a lot about Islam. And while Islam is not Christianity, if you want to take the 3 Abrahamic religions, the 3 of them, which of them are the most compatible? You have Christianity and Islam over here, compatible, and you have Judaism way over here as not compatible with either of the other 2. If you know anything about, which most of you don't, now I'm not saying you in the chat, Islam and Christianity are like this. Judaism is way over here. And what I mean by that is, for us as Christians, we believe Christ is Lord, right? Jesus Christ is the Son of God, is God. You know what Islam believes? They revere Jesus Christ. He is right next to Muhammad as the most revered prophet. Not only that, did you know Jesus' name is in the Quran 4 times more than Muhammad's name is? Jesus is the Messiah in Islam. Now, while they are not the same exactly because they don't believe Christ is Lord, Christ is revered. The Virgin Mary is revered in Islam. Somebody said Islam's evil. Listen to what I'm saying. You don't know anything about Islam. Listen to what I'm saying. Islam reveres Christ. Islam reveres the Virgin Mary. What does Judaism believe? Judaism believes that Christ is a false prophet apostate. They believe that the Virgin Mary is a whore. They believe Christ is burning in his own excrement in hell. Somebody says, you're very wrong. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I know all 3 religions. Let's pull that up. This is a person who knows nothing about the religions. You don't know anything about them. What I'm saying is objectively true. What I'm saying is objectively, biblically true. You can't argue with what I'm saying. This is what the Talmud says. This is what the Quran says. This is what the Bible says. I know because I've read them all. Because I actually, yeah, you're very wrong. I'm not. Because I actually educate myself. Yeah, Jamie, pull that shit up. And everybody in the chat who actually educates themselves knows this. And so my point is, while Islam is not the same as Christianity, is not the same as Judaism, you want me to hate a religion that is far more conducive to Christ and Christianity, and you want me to hate them so that we can support a country that fucking hates our guts. That's what it's all about. What do you like? This is what's been going on for thousands of years. Get Christians and Muslims to hate each other, right? so that you're distracted from the problem. And you can believe whatever you want. But I'm not going to do that. I don't hate anybody based off of their religion. I don't hate anybody based off of their ethnicity. And you shouldn't either. And I mean, maybe you can if you want. And again, I am an American. I want American culture to be at the forefront. And that's typically through Christianity. But what you're going to be told, and I promise you this, I want you guys to pay attention to the mainstream media, pay attention to Fox News, even CNN, the Daily Wire, PragerU, right, Breitbart. Go down the line. I want you to pay attention for the next couple months and what's going to be shoved down your throat ad nauseum, day in, day out. Pay attention. It's going to be how Islam is the greatest threat to America that ever existed. Nobody talked about it for 4 years. Nobody was concerned with it for 4 years. By the way, if you didn't know this, Islam is the second biggest religion in like 20 states in the United States. There's no Sharia law anywhere. There's been no terrorist attacks. Millions of Muslims in this country, by the way. Upwards of 4 to 6 million Muslims. No terrorist attacks, no Sharia law. Just something to think about. And see, yeah, you have guys like this, right? Like, and it's okay, I get it. Like, I'm challenging your worldview that you were brainwashed into. And again, I was this guy, right? For years. I was this guy for years. I was an Israel simp and supporter. I went and fought the global war on terror. I thought Islam was the biggest threat in the world, and they were my mortal enemy. Because I got convinced that after 9/11, just like we all did. Right? I got convinced that by being a Protestant, growing up being convinced into Judeo-Christian values by my Protestant upbringing through the Schofield Bible. Right? I got convinced of all these things. But, luckily, I had the opportunity to go live in an Islamic country, to work with Islamic people, to broaden my worldview, to get educated on all three Abrahamic religions, by the way. Yeah, I mean, it's not that just this is a great comment. It's not that no such thing, it's that it's an oxymoron. So for those who didn't know, this wasn't a thing up until about 1913, when the Rothschilds decided, hey, we need to drum up support for an ethnic state for Judaism. Way before World War II, by the way. So you should do your history work on that. And that's when we decided we got to integrate the Schofield Bible. We got to brainwash American Protestants into this new Judeo-Christian belief system that has never existed before in the last 2,000 years before that. But anyway, we're getting a little over the top here. But my point with this is I want you guys to be paying attention to what's going to be shoved down your throat through the propaganda system of the mainstream media over the next couple months. It's going to be vicious. It's going to be nonstop. It's going to be a massive detraction and a distraction, from the Epstein file release. I promise you, this is 99% what it's about, because what you're going to have is you're going to have all of this gaslighting propaganda smack us in the face. And they're going to flood the zone with this from every angle you see for 2 months, for the next 30 days straight. And then that way, when they release the insanely redacted Epstein files that they've already announced, that they've already redacted all of Trump and every Republican's name out of, okay, that when they release it, it's going to be a side story. It's going to be way over here. And hopefully what they're hoping is that you're not going to be paying enough attention to it, because there's all this crazy shit going on, right? And if you didn't see, we're already starting. We already just started operations in Somalia, by the way. U.S. Army Special Forces, my guys, Green Berets, are literally conducting fucking war right now, the day after this attack got carried out. By the way, for those of you who didn't know, did you know this? It's my brothers. You think this is a coincidence? We've essentially invaded Somalia. Although I'll tell you, Somalia is fucked up, right? Somalia is different than Afghanistan. I'll tell you that. The Minnesota problem is a real problem. Okay, Somalia and Afghanistan are not the same. I'll say that. I have really no issues with removing the Somalia problem from Minnesota. I mean, Somalia is again completely different culture, completely different continent, but they don't even have a functioning government, right? Comparatively to, they want you to believe that about Afghanistan. Like, oh, this, like, what did Donald Trump said, that the biggest hellhole in the world, Afghanistan currently? What are you talking about, dude? Afghanistan under the Taliban, homie, they got internet, they got infrastructure, they got a fucking YouTube channel. You guys know that the Taliban have their own YouTube channel? I did a spoof on this, trying their training, by the way, which was hilarious. You go watch that a while back. For those you didn't know, they want you to believe that this is some third world country that doesn't know what's going on. I'll pull it up. Yeah, this is, they have their own YouTube channel, homies. 155,000 subscribers. Rolling around in our shit. High production value. Yeah, but you guys didn't know this? This is the Taliban's YouTube channel, dude. Wonder where they got this map beat from, huh? The point with that was Afghanistan and Somalia are not the same when it comes to that, right? I don't agree with the Taliban's the way they're running the country, but that's not the same. That's not the same as Somalia, homies. Right? So, but again, that's my point, is like the day after this attack happens, we're deploying dudes. And maybe it's for the best. Like, I'm not gonna say it's not, especially in Somalia. But you should pay attention, right? And what I mean by this is, do you think, and I know better because I was a Green Beret and I was in Special Forces, I know how all this works. Do you think that just 24 hours later, third group drummed up a plan to go hit targets in Somalia within 24 hours? No, that's not how any of this works. That's not how any of that works. This mission has been planned for probably months and months and months, right? Okay. And it just so happened that the day after this attack, they carried out the missions. They carry out the operations, right? Because we're not a 24-hour. We do have through the CRIF and different forces, we do have a quick deployable reaction force in Special Forces. However, to go hit targets in Somalia, that's not a needed quick reaction force. Quick reaction force is a situation like Benghazi, right? Where it's like, hey, we need 10th group on a fucking plane right now to go stop the embassy from getting overthrown in like 3 hours from now. But to like just go hit targets in Somalia, that's been planned for a long time. And so you got to ask yourself, wow, the timing of that, super convenient. Just like, 2 days. Keep in mind, what was the big Somali story with all the corruption and everything going on, which I'm not saying is not true, but just like 2 days after that, we're hitting targets in Somalia. You gotta think, guys. The stuff is all it's all not random. We talk about organic. That's why I said, do you guys think this is organic? This attack in DC. And let's do a poll. Now that and I'm looking at the Candace poll. Plot on Candace's poll, or plot on Candace's life, plausible or no? 87% of you said yes. And that was before Taylor came on. I bet it would have been a lot higher than that afterwards. So let me ask you guys this. DC attack, organic. And what I mean by organic is the story I told you build up, right? This Afghan who worked all the way up through all the channels for over 10 years to get to the highest levels of the Afghan military, essentially working with CIA as part of the paramilitary Graham branch unit. He gets out as a refugee, goes to Washington State. 4 years later, decides to drive all the way to Washington, D.C. and randomly shoot 2 National Guard soldiers. And then the next day, U.S. Special Forces is carrying out operations. Does that all sound organic to you? Yes or no? Let's see what you guys think. And I'm not judging. I'm just interested after I've explained all this to you guys, if you guys think it's organic. And it could be. But we talked about a lot. We talked about a lot of stuff there. I actually wasn't expecting to go that deep into that. Now, I want to hit, we're going to hit the super chats and we're going to jump out of here, because before I get even deeper down the rabbit hole, tomorrow we don't usually do these lives. Let me get what time we're going to be doing this. And this should be a good one. We're going to go live with me, Ian Carroll, Chris Piota, who used to be the number 3 in the FBI, and Jesse with Fire, and we're going to talk about the Epstein files, but also we're going to deep dive into the DC attacks, which should be very, very interesting. A lot of knowledge on that. Tomorrow at, let me see what time we going. Let me pull up our chat. I believe it was 1 p.m. Pacific. Sorry, hold on. We got a lot of group chats. 1 p.m. Pacific. Me, Chris Piota from the FBI, Jesse with Fire, Ian Carroll. And we're going to deep dive this tomorrow. Okay. So I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, because we still got a lot to talk about tomorrow. And there's a lot of knowledge on that podcast between all of us. Somebody said, do you know John from Infinite Grit? Hold on, let me pull that up. Because I do, actually. You get chat's moving fast. I didn't see exactly what you said. I just caught it quickly. Can you get John Hamilton, aka Infinite Grit? Yeah, I mean, I talked to John. What do you mean, like get him on the show? Yeah, I potentially could do that. Jesse is weak. Well, Jesse's the one setting it up, right? So it is what it is. You never trusted Ian. You don't have to trust Ian. Ian, I mean, I fucking love Ian, dude. I love Ian's content. I think Ian is crazy smart. And I don't think he's got a nefarious bone in his body, to be honest. All right, let's hit super chats, and then we're going to jump out of this one. It's been a good one. We've gone 2 hours. It's kind of been like kind of a, and then we're going to actually, by the way, we're going to dump our entire live stream over to Ian. Ian should still be live, right? Chat, is Ian still live? Let me actually get this set up to where when we go live, we can actually drop to Ian. But we're going to hit super chats first, and then we're going to go raid Ian. Let's see, how the hell do I do this? This is my live stream. Settings, I believe. Community moderation, users, all channels. No, that's not it. How the hell do I do this? Oh, I forget. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out once we get there. Let's hit the super chats first, and then we're going to raid Ian after that. So if you don't like Ian, then I'm surprised you like my channel. Also, Ian constantly shouts me out. He's a great dude, man. Anyway, let's He just went live 13 minutes ago. Perfect. So he just got going. All right. So we're not too worried about hurrying over there. All right. Let's hit super chats. Thank you all very much. For those of you, someone said you're no Ian, mate. Yeah, me and Ian aren't the same people, by the way. We're not the same person. It is what it is. All right. Let's hit the super chats and then we'll get everybody over there. All right. Thank you all so much. We had over 10,000 people in the live stream at one point, which is absolutely crazy. And for, Taylor, we'll try to get him back on here pretty soon as well. All right, let's hit the super chats and let's get over to Ian's. Okay. All right. So not French Foreign Legions, but ex-French Foreign Legions. Joe Kent. Okay, here we go. I want to talk about Joe Kent, actually. I forgot to talk about this. I'm super, super fucking disappointed in Joe based off of what he said today. I'm actually disgusted that he said this as a Green Beret. I don't know if I want to talk about this right now or not. Shit. Do I want to talk about this? Fuck. Should we talk about this or not? Because I'm actually disgusted with what he said today. This is going to get clipped and it's going to get to him. But I mean, honestly, you guys know I've never given a fuck. I say whatever I want. All right. No, this isn't it. Fuck it. Let's do it. Let's pull his post up today and show you why I'm so disappointed in him. All right. So this post went out today from Joe Kent, who was a Green Beret just like me. Also, anyway, said, God bless Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and her family. I agree. We will never forget her sacrifice in the war for our nation. I'm not sure what the sacrifice was, Joe, being deployed to walk around with no police authority in D.C. as optics for Donald Trump. What sacrifice was this? But here's where I just went, okay, man. Said she was killed by a savage enemy that never should have been allowed in. Millions of invaders here. We must find them and remove them from our nation. Okay, man. Check it out. I just described to you exactly who this guy was. And this isn't about this individual. This is about the Afghans who risked their lives and fought alongside Green Berets and Army Special Forces like Joe Kent for over 2 decades. And this is what he said. They are savage enemies that should have never been allowed in. Now, again, this individual, what he did, if he did it, is horrible. But for him as a Green Beret to completely fucking discredit and discount our Afghan partners like this in a blatant statement that they're our fucking savage enemy that never should have been allowed in this country, I think this was an absolutely disgusting comment. He should fucking know better as a Green Beret. This was so disappointing to see. Not a single fucking Green Beret that I worked with and I talked to had this response. Not one. And so what this tells me is that Joe Kent has, as a Green Beret, and guys, I've talked highly of Joe. And yeah, exactly. He was in it. He was in the fucking, I don't know if I don't want to get into what he did on the high side of stuff, but what it tells me is that he's completely thrown all integrity to the wind to simp for Donald Trump. And as a Green Beret who fucking knows better than to say that type of thing about our Afghan partners, and it's not just me. I talked to a bunch of other Green Berets who saw that. We were sharing it to each other going, what the fuck is Joe talking about? What is his fucking problem? Why would he say that? Disgusting. And if he gets clipped and he sees this, Joe, I did an entire episode backing you up the other day. But if you see this, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself for that comment as a Green Beret. You should be absolutely fucking ashamed of yourself. It's politics. And you're doing it as a simp for the administration for what they're trying to put out. So again, I didn't want to fucking get into this. I didn't want to say it, but of course, super chatters pulled it out of me. But Green Beret should know better because Joe had Afghans risking their fucking lives to keep him alive downrange. You should fucking know better, Joe. Anyway, sorry. That's going to get clipped. Oh, well. Respect the bathroom break. Yeah. All right. Google Trends info about searches of this guy in our fallen National Guard before the event is compelling. Dig into it. Yeah, we showed that. It's very, very, and It's not just this guy, but also the National Guard soldiers that were shot also in those trends. Just want to say I love the direction you're taking with your channel. Thank you for the sharing alternative news and not being afraid to question the narrative. I appreciate you, brother. You know what? I tell people this. I'm not right about everything. I get a lot of things wrong. But the thing you never have to worry about on my channel is that what I'm telling you is coming from some alternative source, whether it be, a lot of other channels that have to, whether it be the mainstream media, Daily Wire, whoever, who have to adhere to a specific narrative. I have never been that guy. I say whatever I want. I say how I feel, and I give my perspective. And even though my perspective is often probably not right, it comes from the heart, and nobody tells me what to do or what to say. I built this channel from day one without a single cent investment from anyone else. I don't have an editor. I don't have someone that helps me with my social media. I don't have somebody that makes me shorts. I do literally everything myself. I could show you. I got the editing computer right here next to me. I do everything myself. So, and my wife, it's me and my wife. So, again, I'm not right about everything, but you never have to worry about Nate giving you, being a Fed, even though I was technically a Fed, I guess you could say. You don't have to worry about that with me. So I appreciate it. Sarah Beckstrom, United States National Guard member, got shot, was Google search. Yep. We just talked about that as well. Our treasurer did the best they could. Our government abandoned them, and I'll never forgive them for it. Yes, we did. And think about all the, I don't want to get into the withdrawal, man. I'm very, very passionate about that. But yeah. Joe says, see, that's the rub. Where did that ID card picture come from? Can't believe that was in his front pocket. His target 2 days after the guardsman for a status target. Why? Just saying, yeah, it's interesting, Joe, how all that works, right? Just like after the New York stuff, those passports just fluttered to the ground for us to find. Interesting. All right, Jasmine says, great live tonight as always. Thanks, Taylor, for coming on. We love you over here. Thank you, Jasmine. Always thanks to Jasmine in the chat. Oh, Jasmine. Is Jasmine still here? Are you in here, Jasmine? She's always here. Where are you, Jasmine? Say something so I can see you, if you're in here still. Jasmine, our one moderator from the beginning. What a goat. We got to give Jasmine the goat status. She's still in here? Where you at? Where you at, Jasmine? Maybe she's not here. Maybe she's got to take a break. But there she is, present. Also, Jasmine, me and my wife got you a Christmas present. I'm gonna get it to you here in the next couple of days as a thank you. My one moderator, and it's getting ridiculous because again, we had 10,000. We should probably get Jasmine. Should we get you some help because we had 10,000 people in here as you're trying to moderate by yourself. She's been here as my moderator. I don't know, well over a year now as basically the only moderator. We love Jasmine on the channel, man. But yeah, we got you a really nice Christmas gift. So everybody say thank you to Jasmine in the chat. I got to get you some help. I've sort of relied on Jasmine, I think probably way too hard than we should have over the last year, but she holds it down. So yeah, we love Jasmine here on the chat. All right. As an infantryman with the 82nd during HKIA, the situation sucks all around. Oh my God, were you there, brother? I saw many families that were so grateful to get out and deserve to, but that comes with consequences like this. That's a great point, man. A lot of good people got out, and a lot of potential problems got out. For sure. You should hit me up on Instagram, man. If you were there, I'd like to talk to you about that. Terrorist attack civilians. Why travel so far? Isn't that right? Doesn't that you got to travel all the way to right in front of the White House? Good point. Let me know if you want to talk about my experience or vids. Well, you got to give me some context, brother. How can I send you some info in case Aussies are looking into the Port Arthur massacre to get your opinion on skill and shooter for the WASP Files YouTube channel? Thanks, Nate. Stacy, Instagram. Write me on Instagram. Make sure your name hopefully is something similar to this, so I'll see it and be able to find it because I get thousands of messages. Hey, I'm ignorant. When a soldier has a PTSD break, what does that look like? Would a vet ever go and unalive people? Might be a good video topic. So, Brian, great question. It's different for everybody, but no, when it comes to unaliving other people, this is not and I know this is kind of what's been talked about for the DC attack, right? Is it a PTSD psychotic break? Here's the reality. What we have not seen historically over the last 20 years is that veterans who have PTSD and are struggling with PTSD, for the most part, other than onesies and twosies, do not take this out in a mass shooting capacity and then kill themselves. That's not what we've seen. What we have typically seen, strictly from a PTSD break standpoint, is a moving into a solitary area and taking their own life. Okay. So that's not exclusive 100% of the time, but 99.99999% of the time, PTSD breaks do not result in mass shooting, terrorist attack type things. It's typically just a solo suicide type of thing. So good question though. Right, even Pollard is running for the Knesset seat. Of course he is, man. You know, he got welcomed as a hero by fucking Mike Huckabee. Graham Bear. I don't want to get into that. It's such a disgusting story. I'm sure most of you are aware of that already. Was supposed to be Candace again. The Japanese money default happening right now is worse than any of this. All banks and world currencies are crashing out for the one world currency. Yeah. So for those who didn't know, Japan actually, when we talk about our debt, our national debt, $38 trillion in debt, typically the way you actually have to look at this is as a percentage of GDP. Okay, so we're $38 trillion in debt. I believe Japan is like $2 trillion in debt, somewhere around there. I'll get fact checked on that. It doesn't matter the exact number for the point we're making. But as a percentage of GDP, America is actually not that much in debt. And I hate to say this because I'm a big critic. I am heavily critical over the economy and the debt and things like that. But as a percentage of our GDP, it's only like 130%. Which is actually very low compared to most countries, whereas Japan was like 260% of their GDP in debt, so almost like 2.5 times what America was. And so, yes, they're going through some crazy shit right now. We'll have to see what happens with that. Nate, is it plausible that all those files are being redacted because they contain videos, images, and descriptions of acts performed on children? Yeah, some of them. But here's my point with this: you don't need to redact it. Black out the victim, show me the perpetrator. Show me his face on all of them. There's no excuse that you can't completely black out the victim and show me the perpetrator on every goddamn one of these. No, the reason why it's being redacted is because and we've already been told this, right? Anything that's a national security threat is going to be redacted. So anything that may show that the reality is that our government, the CIA, the NSA, was working with Mossad and Jeffrey Epstein to facilitate a child sex trafficking ring to compromise foreign governments, foreign officials, and our own politicians. That is what's in the Epstein files. Doesn't matter about Trump and his buddies. That is what they cannot show you. Because if the American people find out that our own government is running the biggest child sex trafficking ring in the world, we'd probably overthrow the government. And they will never, ever, 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 ever fucking show you that. And that's why it's going to be redacted. And Trump is also probably a part of that. But that's one little aside from that. But that's why it's being redacted. Because they can't show us that. Afghanistan fell in 2 days to the Taliban. No, it didn't. Actually, it took a couple months. And the only reason it fell is because we did not backfill Army Special Forces, my unit that was supposed to be there that got canceled last minute, which I already talked about. When 10th group left Bagram, first group was supposed to infill and backfill 10th group, and Joe Biden canceled that for no fucking reason. And that is why Bagram fell. I know, because I was supposed to be there. So I have an entire video on it if you go way back explaining the entire thing. So no, that's not true. Syria, Egypt, Libya, Afghanistan, Iraq, all destabilized at what behest beneficially exactly then? Afghanistan case. The Taliban took back power with the U.S. apparatus. Not just those. Okay, so you got Iraq, Syria, Sudan, Libya, Lebanon, Egypt, and then Afghanistan. Afghanistan was different. Afghanistan was never actually really part of the sort of clean break apparatus that Netanyahu wanted us to overthrow. That was more of a subsidy because we were supposed to find OBL. And then Iran, obviously, is the last one out of that. But to your point, yeah, it's by design because we're trying to make Israel the hegemonic superpower of the region. So go look up the clean break strategy, and we'll detail all of it to you on that. Sorry, boys and girls. I've been a Democrat for over 40 years, most recently an independent that leans right. Both sides are corrupt and are not working for the law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. Retired badge, great show. Martyr, well, I mean, the reality is that if you were sort of a moderate liberal 30 years ago, you would probably be a center-right conservative right now, just strictly policy-wise, but you would not be a Republican because Republicans are not center-right conservatives. Currently, I don't even know what the Republican Party is, and I'm not really sure what the Democrat Party is. I'm not sure what like either of these parties actually are outside of like coalitions. Democrats have, I mean, what do they have? You have the like full-on communists, you have the Democratic Socialists, you have the socialists, you have the liberal neocons, the moderates, and then Republicans have the moderate, I guess you could call it center-right neocons, which is right there with the liberal neocons. You have MAGA, you have the Israel First lobby, you have America First, which I don't think considers themselves Republicans anymore. So you have about like, realistically, you have like 8 different political parties right now that are all like subsidies of the two. So it's actually very bizarre and hard to put together right now. Bobby says the political elites want us normies to kill each other so they can have complete control. Correct. That's why they keep us with the divide. Wake up, people. To Bobby's point, we talked about this. This is what it's all about. Left versus right, Muslim versus Christian, rich versus poor, black versus white, whatever they can think about at the moment that they can incite that anger against each other. That's what it's all about. And this is really what my whole channel is about, is kind of showing everyone that we're not enemies. As Americans, Democrats and Republicans, we're not enemies, right? Muslims and Christians, we're not in American Muslims and Christians, we're not enemies. American black and white, we're not enemies. We're not. Please don't fall for the tropes. Gay versus not gay. LGBT versus straight. Like, you can put 1,000 different things in there. It's always something different to get us to hate each other in America. We're American. Good comment, Bobby. Department of War. Oh, God. I know. So fucking dumb. Did you guys see the new South Park episode with Pete Hegseth? Oh, he got roasted, dude. Yeah, that guy fucking sucks. All right. Jared Schmidt with a big $50 dono says, about to go back to the Army active side. I found your channel because of my interest in Green Berets. I really appreciate you and think you enabling free thinking by bringing fact and experience to everything. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Again, I'm not right about everything, but I try to at least bring a perspective that is not bought and paid for. Again, it's not always right, but it's mine, and it's authentic. At least I try to be. Curious Amara says, Amara, sorry if I said that wrong. What would be your advice if you had a son who wanted to go in the military? Oh, man, I've talked about this a lot. My son graduates in a few months, and he's now wondering if he wants to join the military. Yes, do it. Send your son in the fucking military. Please do it. Okay. I'm not saying that because, and people are going to say, you're working for, you're going to go fight wars for Israel and all this. It doesn't matter. Okay. None of that matters, because at the end of the day, he can go fight wars for Israel, or he can go work for Goldman Sachs that's owned by Israel. Okay. But what he's going to get out of the military is so much as an 18-year-old, right? He's going to get not only the structure, the discipline, all of these things that are going to turn him into a young man with integrity. He's also going to get all sorts of different things. He's going to get free college. He's going to get the GI Bill. He's going to have VA home loan for the rest of his life. All of these things that are the fucking easy button for young men. Even if he does 4 years, 18 to 22, he gets out. He goes to college for free after that. Right? All of these things are absolutely amazing. Okay. So what I'd say, if he doesn't want to do the military, if he wants to do the military, 1000%, do the military. It's the best fucking decision I ever made in my life. It saved my life. Okay. If you know about me and JD DeLay, you go look at JD DeLay's story. Okay. Me and JD DeLay were boys 20 years ago. JD DeLay went a different path than me. I saved myself by joining the military. He spent over a decade in prison. We came from the same fucking group, same activities, same story. Right. So if not, construction or trade school. That's what I'd say for your son. Okay. Yeah, for girls too. Absolutely for girls too. Both my kids, I want to join the military. So instead of, going to college, going $200,000 in debt, getting out, there's no jobs available. Right. So anyway, yes, I want, even though I'm super critical of the military and our government and all these things, I still think it's the best avenue ever for young men, specifically. Still very good for young women. If you have a daughter, have her join the Air Force, please. But for your young men, that's the way to go. Military is fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Joe says, okay, you said as a Green Beret, your job is to train, equip, assist indigenous populations. Correct. It ain't our armed forces. It's our administrations that change their minds and commitment quicker than the winds can change. Yep, man. And this is sadly what happens. And it's what happened in Vietnam. It's what happened in Iraq. It's what happened in Syria and Afghanistan. I don't make the political decisions as a Green Beret. I go and carry out, my job and my mission set. All of us do as Green Berets and the military in general. And it's, I'll tell you guys this, as you have to understand this as a Green Beret. And my dad was a Green Beret in Vietnam, by the way, and he feels the exact same way as I do. When you invest yourself and your time and you go to war and combat and you live with these people, and then your government pulls the rug out from underneath it, it's very difficult to deal with. A lot of you guys won't understand that, and why I'm so passionate about it, about this specific topic, is, again, you're talking about people that risk their fucking lives for you, man, and didn't have to. And then your government basically said, fuck you. The withdrawal was a giant rug pull. And it's been something that's been very hard for my guys to deal with, especially Green Berets, because we know these people intimately. I talked to my interpreters who had their families killed after the withdrawal, slaughtered, all of them. And it's something that can be very, very hard to deal with for a lot of us, right? So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah. D'Oppresso Lee Bear, appreciate it, brother. Been raining a lot of patsies of late. Yeah, sure has been, hasn't there? They changed the search analytics for the TERP. They'll do that. Makes me furious the way they pulled out, hearing from the people like Tyler Andrew Vargas. Yeah, I've been trying to get Tyler on the show forever, man. Pleading to Congress and getting essentially ignored is so fucked up. I agree. Read Federalist Papers number 10 on factions equal divide. Interesting. Sounds like at least 36 Americans, those searching the shooter's name before the shooting, have blood on their hands. They need to come forward as whistleblowers ASAP. Yeah, I mean, like, why were 36 people searching that name hours before the attack? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right, Danny the girl, $50 dono. Thank you very much. Please tell Barron that when McCoy said, God forbid JD Vance, I think he meant God forbid they gravitate towards JD Vance. Like JD Vance is the alternative to Nick Fuentes and others listed. Love Candace, Ian, Barron, and you go Max. Interesting. I didn't see Barron say that. Maybe I need to watch that episode. I might have missed that one. I do like Barron's stuff. I can't imagine Barron would be a fan of JD Vance. I think JD Vance is a huge, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I think he is, honestly, I think Donald Trump is a Trojan horse for JD Vance. But go watch Nick Fuentes' content on that. He knows way more about JD than I do. When it comes to the Palantir connections and Peter Thiel and everything involved in that. I was watching Asman. I love Asman. I've been a fan of Asman for 20 years. Watching Asmund today and completely agree with Trump and Stephen Miller's take. Now they blame affordability solely on the refugees. I don't know what his take was. I don't agree with Stephen Miller on basically anything, so I'd have to probably see that. You're blaming affordability on refugees? Really? Okay. Not sure I get that one. I'd rather not have Islam and Judaism here. Like I've said, I don't think either are conducive with American culture. So I'm not going to disagree with that. What I will say is if you want me to believe one over the other, no. I get what you're saying, but why would they Google the young woman before she was shot? I'm asking why here. Sorry if this is a dumb question. I don't know. Good question. Same thing happened with Charlie Kirk and Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs. Why do these people Google search these people beforehand? I don't know. But they do. So I wish I knew the answer on that. I did the same after my first tour. I studied Islam, and again, you're 100% on all accounts. Yeah, most of us that served and worked with, worked with Muslims, not all of us, but a lot of us wanted to, educate ourselves afterwards because we kind of had the wool pulled over our eyes. So Christ is King and Jesus was the original Groiper. That's a good comment. Probably. All right, Bobby says, with a giant $100 dono, thank you. Guys, you guys stop donating, man. I love y'all, but we got to get over to Ian's channel here soon. Thank you all for still almost 6,000 people in here just hanging out for the super chats. I love you guys for that. Bobby says, I'm sorry, Nate. I would never condone violence, but I can still cook, hump ammo, and do all the things taught me when I served. I'm America, not what I see now. I love everyone until they stop loving us. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, man. And that's what I've said before. And this is where I differ from, guys like Nick Fuentes and whatever, is that I don't care about your race. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about where you came from. I don't care about your background. If you love this country and what you believe policy wise is in the best for the American populace and American middle class and lower class and even upper class, but outside of like the technocrat fucking class, the billionaire class, then you're welcome here for me, man. Whether you're from Latin America or Afghanistan or Iran, I don't care. If you love this country and you assimilate to American culture, you're welcome. That's what I believe. And if you don't, get the fuck out of my country. So kind of a hard line both ways on that. Like, again, if you have allegiance to, like, let's say you came from Colombia, right? And the only thing you give a shit about is Colombia and you don't care about America, like, get the fuck out of my country. But if you come here and you want to assimilate and you love this country and you want to, be a part of the American dream, then I'm all about it, man. Doesn't matter to me where you came from, what your skin color is, what your origin is, what your background is. I'm all about it. Inbreeding, bro. That is actually a big problem in some areas in the Middle East for sure. Not gonna argue with you on that. Wedge issues the tool of the ultra rich and powerful to keep the peasants fighting. Yeah, this has been going on for 5,000 years. Instead of them uniting, taking them on. Yeah, I mean, to your point. It's not new. This is a 2,000-year playbook. All right, Jays are our brothers or sisters. It's highly unfortunate that governments and the people in power pretending to be a part of any religion are fact just fake and soulless. Most Jays are awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's 100% the truth. You look at Israel. Israel's a secular government. They're not even a religious government. So to your point, and this is the same way I feel about Muslims, man. I don't have anything against Jewish people at all, especially Jewish Americans that love this country. If you look in New York, man, the amount of Jewish people that have been way ahead of all of us being anti-Israel and anti-Zionist, the Jewish population in America, subset of the population, has been way ahead of the curve on a lot of us because they actually know what's going on over there. So no, it has nothing. And again, and this is where I break ties with people like Nick Fuentes. I do not believe it's Jews as a demographic that are the problem. I believe it's Zionists that's the problem. So good comment. Few here disagree with Israel and dispensationalism. True. All right. Truth brother, I'm white European Muslim and I'm American, and Islam, Jesus the Messiah, and Muslims believe he is second coming. Yep, there you go. For those of you who said you're wrong, no, I wasn't. Dislike the small hats and love the towels all the same. These people should stay in their own country. Just want the full Epstein files unedited. Yeah, again, I'm not a big fan of, immigrating shit tons of people here. I think we have 350 million people in this country. It's already too many. And here's one of the reasons why I don't like the H-1B program. Have you guys seen the gumball video? This is like one of the most important videos for everybody to watch. The immigration gumball video. Gumballs. This 16 years ago might be one of the most important videos in understanding. That's 10 minutes long. This might be one of the most important videos for any of you to watch in understanding why immigration to America is actually a detriment to the entire world. So rather than playing the whole thing, I'll put it up here for you guys to see. This video is amazing. It's almost 20 years old. You should absolutely go watch this video. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to put myself in the way. Immigration gumballs. Make sure you go watch this video. Okay. I could link it. Yeah. Hold on. Let's make sure this is the actual video I'm looking for here. Oh, yep. This is it. This is it.
Of them. And let's look at another issue here. That's the issue of the safety valve. Since the 1950s, people have been talking about how the United States has to.
Let's link this. This is one of the best videos you'll ever watch when it comes to understanding why H-1B1 immigration is a detriment to not only our country, but to the rest of the world. So let's put that in the. We'll pin this in the comment here. Oh, what's in this poll? 87% of you said the DC attacks are not organic. 9 out of 10 almost. Not surprised. All right. Let's get this in here. All right. I try to pin this with the chat moving so fast. Stop talking for a second. Holy shit. God damn it. Where'd that go? All right, there it is. All right, come on, come on, come on. Oh, God. Replace pin message. All right, there we go. I think I got it. Did I get it, chat? All right, make sure you go watch that. It's 10 minutes. It's phenomenal video. Phenomenal video. Let's keep moving. Let's get through these. All right. Drive says the reason why they're trying to stop Candace is she's about to expose Bridget Macron is Bubba. Yikes. They love to say, look at what we've done to the UK, but it's smaller than Oregon. I think we'll be okay. I saw Piers Morgan talking about this in the recent podcast with Tucker Carlson, also talking about that it actually looks like a pretty big psyop, the Islam problem, which I've been kind of tricked into believing too. But I wouldn't be surprised. It's the same as Dearborn. But I'd have to take a closer look. Islam is not our greatest threat. A wishy-washy Washington is. Yeah, of course. I agree with you there, Joe, for sure. We agree with you about Israel and dispensationalism, as well as the class warfare being waged against all of us. Most people cannot walk and chew gum. That's true. And that's why they're always open up. And that's the problem, guys, is I try to tell you guys this. Those of you who are here ingesting independent media, whether you like my content or not, or you like Candace, you don't like Candace, you like Ian Carroll, you don't like Ian Carroll, like anybody on these independent media sites, you are so far beyond what the average American is doing to educate themselves. I hope you guys know this, right? Like 9 out of 10 Americans are not going above and beyond to even look for, outside sources, outside perspectives. They're just going to turn on MSNBC or CNN and Fox News and just ingest whatever's told to them. And that's what their world belief is, right? Like you are a 5% of the population strictly just being here listening to me yap my mouth, which is why it's really hard to change anything to this point, is because most people are not going to ever get this outside perspective. So good for you for being here on anybody's channel like mine. All right. Oh, old Jigsaw Loomer has been back on this BS narrative for now. It's all out, broad daylight. No one complete ignorant this time. Yeah, she's out there saying how like every Muslim has to be deported. You know, if you want to, here's my thing. If you want to make the case that every Muslim in America has to be deported, all right. If you want to send all of the Judaism with it, there you go, Laura Loomer. That's the deal I'll make. You got to go to. Because you're not any better, in my opinion. Reject both as Antichrist. My family was forced into Islam here in the U.S. Hell on earth, incompatible with Christianity. West as same as Judaism. Well, yeah, I mean, you could make that argument. If you're going to say both, then I'm not going to argue with you. Just because some crazy guy shot guards, all of a sudden everyone is a terrorist. Somehow PTS doesn't apply. Former CIA militia, so abandon all allies. Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying right now. And that's why I'm using my platform to try to give some perspective to people on why this is fucking ridiculous that you're saying. So I don't know. Hopefully I'm helping. Good faith question. How do you reconcile your America First movement, not a penny to X country, with the fact that the U.S. needs foreign help? We need foreign help for what? What do I need to give foreign countries money for to help me? How does that help me? How does me giving you money help me? What do you mean we need foreign help? What do you mean? Who's helping us? Because last time I checked, we have the greatest military in the world. The reason why Sweden and Norway and Denmark and Europe get to have all these cushy fucking socialist, European socialist lifestyles is because they have fucking America to fall back on to protect them from the world. So I'm not really sure what you mean. How do I reconcile America First with no money to other people when America needs other countries? I'm not sure what you mean, brother. I don't see it. Other countries need us. That's the reality. Y'all talk about Islam Muslims like y'all have read anything or know anything about the religion. If you think Muslims are a problem, educate yourself. Are you new to the channel? I've been defending Muslims most of this stream. So hopefully you're not talking to me. Please look up what Benjamin Franklin said about the small hat folks. Yeah, Benjamin Franklin was actually not a fan. That's very true. This is Cowpoke is a bit of a history buff. I like that. I like to see that. But for the audience, yes, you can look this up yourself. Brother, I don't even believe my bananas are organic. Yeah. Dave says, hey, Nate, I have an interesting thought process about YouTube algorithms showing me after a few YouTube feed page re-rolls a bunch of libtard videos, including a video guy calling JD a fascist. JD a fascist? Yeah, you must not watch JD's content if you think JD is a fascist. That JD is very moderate and open-minded. Okay, yeah. Appreciate your courage, my man. I mean, I don't know if I'm courageous, dude. I just I don't care, dude. Like I don't know. I've dealt with a lot scarier things than the backlash for my opinions, you know what I mean, in my life and my career. But I appreciate it. With all due respect, my family was enslaved by evil Islam for 500. Your family was enslaved for 500 years? We learn their evils are skin, read more before. All right, your grammar is fucking terrible. Your English is god awful. Your family? Who is your family? Your family was enslaved? By who? Barbary pirates? What are you fucking talking about, dude? What? Okay. Yeah, you can't even. I guarantee you, if I paid you $10,000, you couldn't even fucking give me a family tree that went back further than 200 years, dude. Fucking chill out. All right, we're behind prison walls. When civilians say thanks for your service, I feel like I don't deserve it. Yeah, you know, that's always a weird one, man. Jim Day, one of my dad's best friends, and you know, one of my mentors, Mac VSOG operator, one of the most badass dudes ever. Awesome interview. If you want to check out Anti-Hero Podcast with me, Brent, and Jim Day, a while back. This was like close to a year ago. He always told me, and the only person I ever, and God, he's such a badass though. When people say thank you for your service, he says you're welcome, which actually is like the appropriate thing to say, but feels very, very bizarre for us to say it, because when somebody says thank you, you say you're welcome. But not all of us are Mac VSOG operators that can say stuff like that, I guess. All right. Part 2 of my super chat. Calling JD a fascist with having no refutable and honest proof of his claims, having his reformed ex-con gang member mask slipped up. You're talking about, I hope you're talking about JD DeLay and not JD JD Vance. Maybe I misread that. JD DeLay is definitely not a fascist. JD Vance, maybe, but not sure. I'm really enjoying your channel. Found what we have more in common than we don't, especially in particular areas. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Glimmer Girl. I appreciate it. Gain massive amount of respect for you. TDUS. Appreciate it. Wasn't Muhammad effing the goat? It was Joe Kent. Wow, bro. That's cowpoke. That was pretty rough. Jamal Wally, write this name down. Okay, interesting. Well, I got it in my head now. If you knew the true picture behind Islam propaganda in 9/11, would you have fought global war on terror? I want you to know. Plan to serve. Oh, man, this is a deep question. Oh, I've never had anybody ask me that question before. If I knew what I knew now, would I still have signed up, served, and gone and fought the war? Dude. Yeah. I'm not proud to say that, but yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah. Yeah, I would have. It is what it is. I don't regret my service. I don't regret my time in combat or my time in war, regardless of what I know now. It is what it is. It's the best job in the world. Army Special Forces, Green Beret's the best fucking job in the world. It's the most high adrenaline, high intensity, high skill level, best community, working with some of the most savage men on the planet. Yeah, I still would have. But it would have felt different, for sure. All right, what do we do? And I'm just being honest. Like, if you want me to just like be like, no, I wouldn't. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not that kind of guy for you. I'm just going to be honest with you. What do we do as the average everyday citizen to make things better for our country? It feels very discouraging with the way things are. Holy, this is a really good question. You see this a lot. What I would say is be a good father, be a good husband, raise the best thing you can do. Be a good father, be a good husband, raise upstanding young men and women that are going to be value added to society. Get involved in your local communities, your school boards. I mean, be active in your kids' lives, their sporting teams, coach their sporting teams, all of these things, even though they seem so minuscule. If everyone was doing these on a large scale across the country, our country would be in a much better place. So that's what I would say at the low level. The best thing you can do is be a good father, be a good husband, and raise good, upstanding young men and women that love this country. That's what you can do, man. You don't got to change the world by yourself, but you can change it a little bit at a time, I think. ChatGPT says Afghanistan withdrawal agreement has signed February 29th, 2020. Trump, is that incorrect? No, that's correct. The withdrawal agreement was signed under Trump. Nate, you're definitely number one YouTuber signed. Your second moderator. All right. Appreciate it. We can talk about that. Hit me up on Instagram. Nate, have you reached out to Nick Lavery for his take on this? I just talked to Nick today. I hadn't talked about this specifically. I love Nick, dude. I'm a big fan of Nick. Like one of the most inspirational, badass fucking Green Berets on the planet. But no, I haven't talked to him about this specifically. Also haven't seen him see him talk about it. But I imagine it's probably not that much different than mine, but who knows? I'd be honored to moderate. Love your channel. Appreciate it. All right. You are the rock of truth. Keep throwing those rocks. Appreciate it. All right. Would you consider interviewing Dr. Shiva? I got this question the other night too, and bring any questions you may have on him, as he's the one who holds the copyright to email. I don't know who that is, man, but this is, you're like the second or third, Tracy, like the second or third person that's asked me about this. Dr. Shiva Ayadurai. I don't know who this is, but people keep asking me about that. So I should probably write this down. All right. I'll look into it. That's like the third time I've had that. All right. So my take on the aforementioned Israeli social media message working to convince me to turn on your views and information, or just for YouTube algorithm BS. I don't think Israel's convincing you to turn on my channel. I'll be honest with you. I don't think they're pumping any money into my channel, guys. Chat, do you think they're pumping money into my channel? Some 7D chess? Probably not. They're working the long game with Nate's channel. Eventually, like 4 years from now, I'm going to turn the corner and like I'm going to convince the audience, right? to get on board with the Zionist movement. Yeah, we're playing the long game here on our channel. All right, AVB says I was infantry combat medic and PMC medic with 4.5 years in Iraq. Wow, some of the finest men I served with were Iraqi and Kurdish, now close friends with the U.S. Seeing the sacrifice betrayed in Iraq, Afghanistan makes me sick. Yep, and one of Hamidi Jassim, one of my buddies, one of the wildest backstories of an Iraqi sergeant major that's fought alongside America for 10 years and now lives in America. An amazing dude. There's a lot of that, man. All right. 10-minute marketer says, I'm grateful I found this channel. I found you balanced, sharp, and honest. Center, gently left, Southern female. You're helping. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. Does Curious Amara want to know what it's like to date a urologist? Guys, I'm not a big fan of urologists because I had one almost kill me from a botched kidney stone surgery. That's not a joke. The military urologist literally almost killed me. He got fired, like legitimately fired, discredited. Crazy story. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I don't like urologists because of that. Long story, but yeah, literally almost killed me. Like going septic on a table, yanking and baking, almost died. So anyway, one of the worst moments of my life, or worst like week of my life. Anyway, all right, Wesley, thank you. Here we go. Wesley enlisted in the Army, heading to Fort Benning in February for Infantry 11B. Hell yeah, brother. I went to Benning in March myself. It's going to be fucking cold when you first get there. But good luck on your journey, brother. You got a bright future ahead of you. My biggest advice to you as a young infantryman joining is, and I tell everybody this, make your time worth it. So what I mean by that is volunteer for everything. Volunteer for every school. Get every possible skill set, everything you can out of it. Don't be lazy, because you can get a shit ton of value out of the military if you're willing to work hard. And it's not hard, man. You can rise to the top of the military so easy if you're willing to put in the effort. But good luck. Donating to you because you told me not to. Great stream. Appreciate it, man. Could you Google search the activation? Could Google search be the activation of MK Ultra? Oh, man, who knows? Nate, reach out to Tatum and see if he'll come on live and debate you. I already have. So Brandon Tatum came in and left a comment on one of my Charlie Kirk ballistic videos, the one where I showed all of the different angles and mathematics, why none of them make sense. He commented and he came in and said, "What are you doing? How could you possibly do this? You need to contact me offline." And I replied to him, and this comment got like 5,000 likes. I said, "No, I will come onto your show and I will debate you anytime you want in any capacity you want regarding this." And he refused to respond to me after that. So take that for what you will. A lot of you probably saw that one, but yeah, we've been down that road. I'll be honest, like what is he going to debate me on? Like, he's not a smart dude, man. He's going to debate me on Israel. Matt Tardio is 1,000 times smarter than Brandon Tatum is, and he struggled. So no, I don't think Tatum wants anything to do with me when it comes to debate. Yeah, that's not what he wants, and he knows that. Hog cranking, cranking hog. We're all about that. Oil, cheap stuff. And Nate, I wasn't speaking about you, dog. All right. Jasmine, whoever joins your mod team, please don't let them censor us. This is the most free speech chat on YouTube right now. Christ is king. Well, I mean, here's the deal. The only reason it's the most free speech is because Jasmine doesn't ban your ass. Because Jasmine has free reign to fucking ban anyone she wants. So if it's free speech, it's because she's allowing it to happen. Okay, because I've told Jasmine 1,000 times she can fucking ban any one of your bitch asses whenever she wants for whatever reason. So you should be thanking Jasmine that this is the most free speech platform, not me. Because I can't keep up with the chat all the time. Jasmine makes that all happen. All right. I'm Serbian 17 generations in my family tree. And so you're Serbian and 500 years, you were enslaved for 500 years by Islam as a Serbian. You sure about that? What's the meme? Hold on. I got a meme for you. Here we go. This is just for our boy. Usually don't do this, but we're going to pull it up. Here we go.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Yeah, I don't know, homie. Don't know if I believe that one. All right. All right, let's pull this back up. What was this? Purple Galaxy 60-minute space wallpaper popped up? Okay, that was random. I really appreciate the channel and the content, pulling back the curtain today's politics and not waxing poetics like these scumbags in DC, Dems, and Reps. They're all a bunch of vipers. Keep it going. Appreciate you, man. Again, we're pretty independent here, you know. They have an anti-hamster pro tiny hat ads on your channel, so they're watching. Yeah, maybe. Oh my God, we made it through. All right. It took us an hour to get through the super chats. Holy shit. Okay, so we did it. Everybody stand by. Let me make sure I get this set up to actually get us all over to Ian's channel to raid him. And I want you all, when you raid him, of course, we got to drop the Dr. Wang comments, the Wang raid, okay? That's what we're known for our raids. Now I got to figure out how to do this again real quick. Stand by, guys. Don't go running out on me. Customization. Oh, redirect. Here it is. All right. So we'll look up Ian Carroll. Is he still live, guys? Is Ian still live? There he is right there. All right. We got him. Okay. So we got the channel ready. As soon as I close this down, it should take you over still got 5,000 people in here, even after the super chats. All right, guys, I want to say thank you so much. Guys, we had almost 10,000 people in here to talk about the French Foreign Legion with Taylor earlier. Make sure if you guys haven't seen, or if you guys didn't go subscribe to Taylor's channels, make sure you do that. Okay. Taylor's fucking awesome. We'll get him to come back on soon. Thank you so much, guys, for all the super chats, for all the support. You guys have been amazing. The channel is growing at an insane rate. And it's thanks to you guys. All right. So you've made this, a really enjoyable thing for me to be doing. I'm glad to bring you guys this content. Let's get ready to go raid. I'm going to be over there with you guys immediately. I'm going to drop a big super chat on Ian as soon as we get there. Wang's in the chat. Dr. Wang's in the chat. Let's go raid Ian. All right. Let's go hit him. All right. So we're going to close it down right now, and I'll see you over on Ian's stream. Take care, everybody.